Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We hope you're keeping very, very safe and well. Thank you much for joining us for this transfer countdown special. How can I put this? How prestigious that we start and Spurs finish. You couldn't make this up, could you? Allegedly, Spurs' transfer business is already done and we've just started. So there you go. Couldn't make this up. Delighted to be back on the Last Word on Spurs here. If you're listening to the show for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify, we're on Audio Boom. We're on a range of different social media platforms. We're, of course, on Twitter at Last Word on Spurs. We're on Facebook and Instagram too. And I'm joined by the majority of the team here at Last Word on Spurs. We've gone for the Fab Six, shall we say, boys? The Fab Six for now. We'll see who else comes along. Stragglers, of course, in the next hour and a bit. I can see Jason's already chomping at the bit to get started. He's on mute. Do you want to come off mute there, Jason?
Yeah, can I interrupt you? Some of us are only starting now. Others have already been here during the day.
Well, parenting, it's difficult. 14-month-old chasing him around with nappy shit. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
Here we go. Hopefully we're still in for a little bit of a shock tonight. I mean, not obviously in a positive way, not a negative way. Right, talking you through who we've got. And obviously, you've seen these faces numerous times. They need no introduction, but here we go anyway. We'll do it anyway. To my right, I've got Mr. Lee McQueen in the house. Lee, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Fresh from my bunker. As Tyler was saying there earlier, I had a couple of issues, didn't I, with my Wi-Fi. I think I was going all Michael Bridge on us earlier. To be fair, but yeah, no, really good, mate. Fresh back from the city today, and looking forward to it. I was hoping. I'm a nightmare. I'm still hoping something might happen. I think it's literally impossible to do a medical in 2 hours and 23 minutes. I'm still hoping that can still be the case. Look, when Villa can sign Danny Ings and Callum Chambers without anybody knowing about it, I'm hoping Spurs can do the same thing.
Well, listen, if you're going to hear about it, it's going to be on this show. So, listen, thank you also for all the support. We've already got about 600 people watching us live. I mean, so is the incredible loyal support already of Last Word on Spurs. I just dread to think people are here for us to announce some signings because that would be maybe a disappointment. But I will tell you one thing. If you're going to hear about a transfer, Jamie Brown down there, bottom left, he will be letting us know very, very quickly. How did the medical go? Alev, obviously, we passed it. I'm already wearing a training kit. I'm already there. Right, to the right of me, always loves the transfer window. Loves them, of course. We've got the brilliant Jason McGovern. Jace, shut the window at THFC 76. How are you?
Shut it. Pull the curtains. Turn the key. Shut it. Let's move on to the football, mate.
Thanks, Victor Meldrew.
Done and dusted.
Do you know what I loved about Jason, though? Every time we've had a transfer show, I'm available. Fantastic.
No, seriously, right, I think it's been a good day. Not as good a day as we wanted, but when I look at the clubs in and around us, we've got to compete. If Tottenham's transfer window is 3 out of 10, then none of those have even reached 1 out of 10, and most of them have gone minus. So. You compare our window to Wolves, West Ham, Arsenal, or Man United. I know who's had the best window of those clubs. So we've come out in a better position than those have. That's all you can say.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's hope. There's still a few hours to go, of course. We'll be bringing you live coverage. So to my right, I've got Sky Sports News. To my left, I've got a man that will keep us updated, of course, in Jamie Brown from the Daily Hotspur. If we're going to hear transfer news, Jamie will break it to us first. Jamie, any chance? How are you, mate? What are we thinking? Are we done?
Yeah. All good, all good. Thanks, Ricky. I think we are done in the transfer window, which is a bit of a shame. But I think overall today it's been okay. I know, obviously, in terms of incomings, it's not been what we wanted, but I think to get a number of the players out the door that we have done, I think we've set ourselves up for a nice summer. We always say, next summer it's going to be amazing, and yes, of course, there's going to be lots of caveats to that. I think the big thing when we get in the top four, as I said earlier. That's the only way we're going to be able to go big next summer. But I think in terms of the players we've got out the door, I'm very happy. But of course, I'm disappointed with our lack of incomings today.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Rich, they're already pining for the analogies of what's coming. We're hoping there'll be a few more lined up by 11 o'clock. And who knows where this evening takes us. Rich, how are you? Lovely to have you back on.
Yeah, evening, everybody. Evening, Rick, and everybody on the panel and listening and watching. Listen. 2 hours and 40 minutes left. So,
it's early.
Exactly. If this was Christmas, it's still September for Daniel Levy, isn't it? It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes or 20 minutes. It's more than doable. one may come out of the woodwork. You never know. So, but like you were saying, like you're trying to parent children this morning, 14 months old, and it's a nightmare, isn't it?
Chasing nappy shit. I'm getting asked by Jason, where am I?
Exactly. So running around after naughty children is a headache. And when you haven't got that anymore, can you see where I'm going here? Like, you know, if you're not running around after children, you can get on with other stuff. So, you know, some of the naughty children that may have left the building today, you know, Dad Conte might be able to get on with like doing like checking his invoices and paying a few bills and like, you know, cooking Mrs. Conte a bit of spaghetti. We might be able to do something now with some like negative naughty children out of the way. Let's see. Come on.
Come on. For some reason, Frankie, there's a lot of people waiting to hear your opinion on this January window. So I'd like to have you on. Frank, feeling so far? It's still early. I mean, are we done, Frankie? Do you feel we're done?
I think we're done. I agree with Jason. I think backing Conte is getting rid of who Conte wants to get rid of. Now, I've seen a lot of people allude to on Twitter and even a comment in here already that says, oh, Daniel Levy's going to be happy because he's lining his pockets with the wages he saved. The players that we've got rid of today, the financial hits the club has taken on those players, basically giving Dele away. This was a player we could have commanded £80 million for a few years ago. The Ndombele, we're subsidising some of his wages. We've, again, given him away to Leon. This hasn't been a benefit to Daniel Levy, as many are saying, with these departures. And you have to back the manager. He clearly had an issue with Gio and Ndombele, particularly because they weren't even making his matchday squad. What is the point in having them around the place if they're going to sulk? The sort of noises that were coming out of the club, particularly about the Celso, was exactly that he had an attitude problem. Conte didn't like him. So sometimes the outgoings, don't underestimate them and the importance that they have to the equilibrium inside the changing room. On the flip side, like everybody else, I'm happy particularly with Bentancur, the centre midfielder. I think that's an upgrade on what we've got. But I do feel one or two more would have made it a much better window. Obviously, the right wing-back position is one that we all know needs upgrading. And the biggest issue, Rick, that I've got at the moment is Harry Kane. Now, again, we've been very lucky this season, touch wood, that he hasn't had an injury of any sort, really. He's been available from August to now. But if anything happens to him, I understand that obviously he likes Bergwijn as a striker. Lucas can play that role. Son can obviously do that as well. But we haven't got anyone who can play with our back to goal naturally. We haven't got any sort of target man if Kane goes to play off. Somebody who can hold the ball up. I do believe maybe there are a couple of options out there we could have looked at. I'm not sure how realistic they were. Morata, Origi. I'm just pulling out a couple of names. But I just feel, as with most Tottenham transfer windows, we're one or two short. And that is, you know, it's not great, is it?
But I think, Frank, that's always been the way. You know, my time supporting the club, I don't think I've ever been in a transfer and ever come out and thought, do you know what, we've got exactly what we need. We always seem to be one or two short. I just want to do a quick round the I'll say round the table, but round the stream here very quickly. Just yes or no. If the window shuts as it is now, is Antonio Conte happy? Lee, is he happy? Yes or no for you?
No.
Okay, Jace. Is Conte happy with what's happened if it finishes right now?
Relatively, yes.
Okay, Jay?
I'm going to say yes as well, yeah.
We're doing Rich?
I'm saying no because Conte looks like the type of man that's never happy, and that's what a winner is.
That's exactly why I said the same. That is exactly the reason.
What do you reckon, Frank, on that point?
He'll be satisfied. He'll be satisfied with the departures. As I said, the players that we've got rid of are the players he clearly wanted out. But I mean, you can, again, I'm sorry to harp on about it, but Daniel Levy, there was no way any of those players were leaving without Conte wanting them to go. It wasn't anything to do with Levy. He would have said to Paratici and Levy, I want those players gone. Get rid of them, basically. Get them out. And they've done that. So on that side, he'll be happy. But as Cracker said, Conte is a man. He's a winner. He won't be satisfied until he gets perfection. And that's not what this squad is at the moment. But it's a step in the right direction. And I believe that Conte will think that way as well.
I'm just
I can't actually believe, Rick, just quickly on that, I can't actually believe that we've managed to shift them three players. I do agree with the lads. That is massive in this window. Like it's
ruthless, isn't it? It's that we have not always been able to do. It's ruthless.
100%. Look, it's not Luis Diaz coming in or backup strikers, and there's still loads of work to do, which is why I don't think Conte's going to be happy with that. But getting them players out, Dele Alli on a perm, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I think maybe a loan, but definitely not on a perm.
No, and how quick that escalates. I mean, I think, boys, correct me if I'm wrong, obviously it's still not announced official yet, but it's all but official from what we understand. It's going to hear me go from Fabrizio.
Exactly, done here we go. So look at, the other one's going out on loan. Bit of a weird one for me with Brian Hill, because he's going back. I think Frankie said this on one of the other shows. He's going back to, it might have been Bridgie actually, but he's going back to Spain to be on loan, which is kind of, what's the point? He needs to get used to this league. But again, looking at that situation, I'm wondering whether Paratigi's actually bought him like he did Weston McKennie. I think it was Weston McKennie. I might be wrong there, but he got him on a free, and then he sold him on, and then he bought him back, or so. I can't remember what happened, but for big profit. So I don't know whether what's going to happen there. But Celso and Ndombele and Dele, to get rid of all three of them. I mean, honestly, guys and listeners and viewers, did any of us think that was going to happen in this January? Honestly,
I would never.
I'll just say, just on the way that we managed to get them out the door and kind of the way that we've taken a big hit on all these players. I know a lot of people say, has Daniel Levy taken that back seat? But like in the past, I'm not sure whether Daniel Levy would have sanctioned such moves.
Not for Dele. I can't imagine he would have written Dele. Is it
exactly? He would have been
firm on Dele. From what I understand, is that a free transfer essentially?
Yeah, I mean,
until they reach 20 games.
Is that correct? Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like it'll be performance and appearance based. So I mean, he'll play 20. Supposedly, everyone's reporting 20 matches, be £10 million, and then after that, it'll be how successful the move is, and it will go up to around about £30 million in the end. So I don't think anyone's was ever going to pay a big fee for Dele Alli. I don't think was never going to happen. So it was just a case of getting him out the door. If the move goes well, then we get decent money for him. But Spurs, it was never going to work out. We just needed to get him out the door. He needed to get out the door. So I think it's a really good move for all three parties. Yes, of course, it's not the fee that we would have wanted a couple of years ago for Dele, but Dele's not that player anymore, and he just wasn't going to happen at Spurs for him, unfortunately. So I'm quite pleased with that deal in the end, even though it's not the fee that we would have really wanted.
Can I just add, Rick? I said Conte, I think, would be relatively happy because it's a January window. If this was a summer window, I think he'd be going absolutely ballistic. But it's a January window, and some of the things that he may have wanted to do are your likes of Kessie. We saw Vlahovic only make certain decisions. Some of the players that we saw, Eloise, preferred to go to Liverpool rather than come to Tottenham. So what he could do in January, I suspect he's relatively happy about, but he will want a hell of a lot better summer than he's had as a winter window.
He has said as well, I think he did say in one of his press conferences that he does know that January is a difficult month. And again, I think we've made the point already about our rivals. I mean, Manchester United, if anything, they've weakened their squad with the players that they've lost. Arsenal, they certainly haven't strengthened, if not weakened their squad, losing a number of options. West Ham, they haven't added to their squad. So, for me, we've lost some players that were just not going to be involved with us, and we brought in two players that potentially could feature. We've got a guy who Conte wanted reportedly into Milan, and we've got a guy in a position that he really wanted to fill. So I don't necessarily think that it just shows you that January's a very tricky window, and
really split, isn't it? Though?
Okay.
Jamie, it's really split, isn't it? Even on the comments now, the live.
I tell you, there's a real. I must say, we've got 1,200 people watching us live at the moment. I would say again, from the comments we're judging here, it really is a half and half at the moment. Whether you would judge this so far as an acceptable window or a poor window, and I think the point I made, boys, and again, we'll try and go around this. That I still feel that we are slightly short in midfield. And again, I understand obviously Bentancur coming in will probably end up maybe pairing up with Oliver Skip. And then we've got the backup of course, Højbjerg and Harry Winks. Frankie, I'll ask you on that quickly before I go to Rich. Are you concerned, Frankie, in that midfield, or do you feel for you we've got enough there that's going to be strong enough when we come up against the teams in the second half of the season to really put in the performances to make that top four?
Perhaps, but again, Conte's system, and this is one thing I've noticed on Spurs Twitter particularly, which has been a bit of a war zone today, but it seems many of our fans do not understand the system Conte plays and the players that fit into his system. he likes two dogs in the centre of midfield. He likes two ball winners who are energetic. He doesn't rely on those two centre midfielders in his 3-4-3 system to do any creating. So as far as that goes, we've got 4 options for 2 positions there, which you would say is more than enough cover. The creativity in this system comes from the wing backs and the 2 number 10s, who will be Sonny and Lucas, for instance. We haven't got a natural creator because neither of them are that, which leads to the question, why have we not done more to get a better sort of right wing back in? I understand that Tariq Lamptey's a target of the club, and I totally get, we've been speaking about it all day, that Brighton probably were not willing to sell in this window. So it then begs the question, is there a point in us getting just a right wing back in for the sake of it, who's not really going to do anything? Or do we wait and position ourselves to get a proper one in the summer's window? Because again, you name me, there's 6 others apart from me in this chat, name me a right wing back that's available and improves our team in this window, who's used to playing this system. No one can name it.
Can't give you name.
And the hysteria on Twitter, we need a goal scoring midfielder and a number 10. Well, that's not going to happen because that's not the way that Conte sets his teams up. You know, you again in that the platform, the base, the axis of that centre midfield are 2 ball winners. And then if you're crying out for a Coutinho type, he will play in the front line along a Son and Kane, because many people are obviously saying we should have jumped all over Coutinho. He could have been our creator, but obviously this is where Kulusevski comes in, because that's his role. He's almost like an Eriksen, where obviously he's left-footed, but he starts on the right. He drifts in field. He can play the 10 in a 3-5-2, or he can play on the right in a 3-4-3. So, I mean, it's difficult because it seems like lots of people are screaming and shouting for players that don't actually fit the system or the tactics that Conte wants to play. I get the frustration, Rick. I've been a big critic of the way that the club's run. And the fact that we could be a lot more ambitious in the transfer markets and windows. I've said that, but we have to be realistic. All these screams for Enquiries out, where are they going to go? Who's got 1.6 billion to come and buy the club? It's all very well and good being shouty and, Levy out, Enquiries out. Go and find us a billionaire then that's got that money. And then on top of the money that they've got to buy the club with, they've got to, by the sounds of things, have another £250 million to spend on players. We've got to be realistic. And you're
far too rational for You're far too rational for this, Frank.
No, but I get the frustrations, and I've stayed off responding to people today on Twitter because some of the nonsense I see on there, I think you're just having a rant for the sake of ranting without any rationale or logical thought here. And again, I said it on the last show I was on, right? Back in Conte, if we give the man what he wants with outgoings, not necessarily, again, he would have wanted more incomings, but the start of backing him, this is his first transfer window, is getting rid of what he deems are the bad eggs. Now, I understand if in the summer we don't go big, as many are expecting us to do and go, I'll understand the frustrations, but we're in a different dynamic now. Last summer, there was a budget because we were still in a pandemic, essentially, which we know prohibited the expenditure of Tottenham as a club. That won't be the case next summer. We would have had more events. We'd have had a live gate for the full season. And I expect there to be more money. I'm hoping that's the case, but we've got to be realistic, Rick. We, as a fan base and everyone listening, we have to be realistic. We've got to just stop shouting nonsense. And somebody else raised a very good point today. For those new signings to come to the club, their first experience of the training ground is people standing outside. Again, I get their frustrations. They're customers of the club. They spend their hard-earned money, and they've got a right to voice their opinion. But it could have waited until tomorrow. It could have, because that's not, in my opinion, a good look. And that's frustrating to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I want to bring Ant in a second, but to come to you, Rich, as you see things at the moment for you, you've never been shy to hold back in terms of your thoughts on the club, both on and off the pitch. You know, you said that Conte's a winner, and therefore maybe he wouldn't have been absolutely delighted by this window. But do you believe, Rich, that we're in a stronger position now than before we started the window?
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. Sometimes you've got to knock things down to rebuild them. You can't just come in and go off of like the foundations there. You know, you buy an old house that's like falling down. Good builder might well come around and say to you, listen, you've got to take the whole lot down. Yeah, I can't shore that wall up. I can't sort of do this. I've just got to take it right back down to the foundations and go again. This is the painful rebuild that Poch spoke about. Here it is, the here and now. So the trimming of the fat is absolutely the right place to start. It's like we've all been on stag do's down the years, right? As mates and that get married, you go on some, and there's like maybe 3 or 4 different groups of lads, isn't there? And you don't like, one lot knows each other, and another lots are like, you know, his brother's mates, and they've come along. And all of a sudden, on the second night, someone has a one too many, and one of the other little cliques gives the other one a right-hander. Rest of the 3 or 4 days away is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare, because there's like 30, 40 of you on this stag do, and like it's horrible. But all of a sudden, you go away, just 5 or 6 of you that are a little tight-knit group, mates, been mates for years. You have a brilliant time. So you like trim your crew, don't you? You know, you go when you're going off to Benidorm, you want a little tight crew with you. You don't want 30, 40 people and different cliques. And this is what, you know, getting rid of these out the dressing room might be just a thing, you know. There might be this little lot that sort of sit with Ndombele and, you know, or Celso, and no, he's a mug, and he's this and he's that, you know. And all of a sudden you get those little divisions. All of a sudden,
Rich, I agree with Kalen. I want to go on a stag like this.
Get your t-shirt. There's a question for you. What are you going to have on your stag t-shirt? What's your name on your back? Your stag t-shirt. Oh, McQueen up there is gorgeous, isn't it? He's got gorgeous 66 on the back of his shirt, isn't he?
No,
you know what I mean? You've got to get that little group together, haven't you? So this is the painful rebuild that we wanted. Everybody keeps going, oh, why do we keep buying these 20-something million pound players that are there 5 million? So don't do it. Don't, like, you know, we're all some people are screaming today, oh, we haven't signed enough. But if decent players aren't available, then don't buy them. Don't just buy them ones that are there to get in January.
Better than what you've already got. You have to do better than what you've got.
Don't forget as well, but we are in this position because of many windows before where ENIC haven't invested properly. So they're not off the hook here. This might be the dawn of Aquarius, the new beginnings, because Dele going for literally nothing today says to me that Mr. Levy's having nothing to do with these transfers now, because there was no way he wasn't letting him leaving unless he had that 40 million quid, boom, done. This get out the door and we'll structure a deal. That absolutely screams of Conte going, get rid of him. And Paratici going, okay. And Paratici making that decision, and Daniel can run off and go and play with his flats and his cinema and his Tango Ice Blast machine and whatever else he's doing in now. So I'm quite hopeful, Rick, now. Seeing that Dele literally going for 2 bob means that Daniel isn't any longer getting involved in the transfer side of things. So listen, from this point onwards, the summer needs to be great, but this might just be what we was all looking for. It's just the beginning, like literally the beginnings of it.
I'm just conscious, I know Frankie came in now. I'm going to quickly go to Ant, bring Ant in, then we'll go back to Frankie. Ant, lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us on obviously deadline day, or as you would know as me, Groundhog Day. And honestly, I know for you, we do think similar. What have you made about the current deadline day? Do you think Conte would be happy if the window ended right now?
Yeah, I think as we listening to you boys and absolutely talking sense, I think for us, it's if it was a window of getting rid of the squad that we always talk about, trimming the squad down, blah, 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 etc., you're going to give it an 8, 9 out of 10, because the people that have gone couldn't even get into the first 11 or even the squad a couple of weeks ago. So hats off to Paratici and co for doing that. But I think in terms of bringing players in, yes, I'm very excited for the 2 new boys. Absolutely. Again, being the pessimistic Spurs fan, I can't help it, lads. You want them to kick on straight away because it is a new league for them, and we can't have passengers anymore. Do you know what I mean? We want to kick on for that top 4 spot. We need players and not passengers. It's a shame we couldn't get anyone in Premier League proven, as we always bang the drum about that. But in all fairness, I've calmed down a little bit. I was a bit upset before because I think there was still stuff to be done.
Well, you wanted a striker, same as me. You wanted a striker.
Oh, well, I wanted a striker because, as we always say, we're 1 or 2 injuries away from a disaster. So I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And, you know, got to trust Conte in this process. and he has to be backed in the summer. He has to be backed. That is 1,000,000%. Otherwise, this painful rebuild would be a very, very painful rebuild this month.
Can we finish in the top 4, Ant? Just very quickly, based on what we've got now.
Yes, I do. I think we've got a stronger squad than Arsenal because they're losing players left, right, and centre. Man United might be the toughest one. I think they're our competitors. They're our competition for top 4. But Conte will get us playing. He's got the players that he wanted. Them 2 lads from Juve, and listen, they're willing to work. Let's back them for sure.
Frankie, I'm conscious that you were going to come in there, and we
go on, Frank. What are you saying?
No, I was just going to say to Crackers made a very good point about divisions and cliques and almost resentment in the dressing room, because if you're a teammate of Tanguy and Ndombele and you know he's the second highest earner at that football club, and you are seeing the lack of effort that he puts in day in, day out, you'd feel sick and you'd think, why is it? It would create a discord in the team and the group. So again, just to reiterate the point I said earlier, do not underestimate the outgoings and what they could do for the harmony of the squad.
Yeah.
I've got it on very good authority, Rick, as you know, about some stuff on Kane that we said reported on the show earlier in the summer when all that debacle was going on. And one of the key things is that, you know, he basically came out and said, Harry Kane did, that he'd done his job. He won Golden Boot and most assists, and he was coming out saying, I've done my job. Almost like, what else is everyone else doing? When you look at Tanguy and Ndombele, he's probably on the same wages as Kane, reportedly. Maybe Kane might be on goal bonuses and assist bonuses and whatever. But, you know, from a basic salary perspective, I think you're absolutely spot on the money, you know, talking of money. And I think, you know, you're going in that dressing room, you're seeing that fella, he's just swanning around like he don't give a monkeys. There's no interest in, there's no passion for the club. He's on 200 grand a week. And he openly comes out in interviews with us, whatever, saying, I don't want to be here. You know, to move him on, I think is absolutely massive. And I must say, I know before you go on to some of the other crew, Rick, we've got nearly 1,500 people watching this, and this is absolutely amazing. Hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Do it all now. We're only on 144 likes. Let's hit that like button right now and get over 1,000 likes. Go on. 1, 2, 3. Hit the like button. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, but Lee, what happens if you like? What happens if you like it?
Mr. Motivator. I did one on Monday morning, you know, that damn Ryan, I tell you. Get him going.
Come on, like.
Jay, I just want to come around to you. I mean, we did see some very late rumours in the last 20 minutes or so with regards to Spurs being linked with a sensational last-minute move for Ousmane Dembele. Do we expect him to still be on the move as things stand between now and the deadline? Is this one we should still keep an eye on, or are we done?
No, of course no chance for Ousmane Dembele. But I think this is where we've got to be careful in January. You know, we've just had all these players where we've seen trouble in getting them out the door because nobody wants them and they're on such big wages. You know, and then we want to bring in another player, supposedly Ousmane Dembele, who's of course got all these injury issues, who's going to be on a huge wage, and then in a couple of months' time, you know, in the summer when we realise we don't want him, then I just don't think that was really the right move. And that's maybe why a lot of these players is we haven't brought them in, because we've experienced how difficult it can be to sometimes move players on. And you can't just go and sign players for the sake of it. And you can't just, in January, it's all about opportunities. And usually opportunities are because a club wants to move a player on for a certain reason. So that's why it was always going to be incredibly difficult to find the right players in January and get some in. Again, we've seen all these other clubs in the Premier League struggle to do that. So I'm not bothered that we're not going for a player like Ousmane Dembele. I think that would have been, I just think that would have been a bit of a disaster. As much as I would have loved to have seen a new player, I think, he just wasn't the right fit for us.
There's a question on the screen there for you, Jay. Apparently, you had a list of players the other night. Are you happy with the transfers?
Jason's face.
I mean, yeah, we did. We had Fabrizio on, didn't we? And I think we've had a couple of guys on this month, and I'm relatively
only a couple.
Yeah, no, only a couple. Yeah, no, not too long a list, but yeah, I think again overall, I'm very happy. I'm delighted with what we've done in terms of getting players out the door. I think that's massive. As Frank said, it's, you know, the kind of those clicks in the dressing room where you've got bad influences. It's fantastic to get them out. We've seen so many disappointing performances this season, last season, where we've gone away in Europe and we've just put in such a abject performance. You know, when we lost against Dynamo Zagreb, we lost against NS Mura. It's just pathetic performances like that where, you know, you've got players that just don't care about the club and they've got no care. So it's brilliant that we've managed to get those players out. So in terms of outgoings, delighted. Incoming.
Lads, do you think the two lads that have gone on loan to Dele, Celso and Ndombele, do you think, this is going to sound a stupid question.
You're asking if they've got a future, aren't you?
Yeah, if they come back, if they've been firing.
Last time they've ever kicked a ball for us.
They won't.
Never
listen, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that they deserve it.
I can't imagine. I mean, I just can't imagine Ndombele ever putting on our shirt again.
To be fair, guys, listeners, viewers, and everyone, right? I know it feels a little bit thin. It feels like, you know, we've got, 4 players gone out today. We've only got 2 coming in. But let's be brutally honest. Let's be factually honest, right? Between the Celso and Ndombele, what is it, 19 starts, or was it?
So bad, isn't it?
I can only tell you that the cost 110 million. Jason, you always say, Jason, this is the window, the dreaded window.
We're not thinner without them. Honestly, we are not thinner without them. We are the same. We are the same. We're better off, even, as everyone's been saying. You know, I know that you look at it's a body. Chinga Ndombele was a body. That was it. Lo Celso was a body. He'll probably go to Argentina on international duty. He's been out there already, whatever. Been fantastic. He'd come back. He'd just be injured anyway. They weren't interested in playing for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And quite frankly, I'd rather have an under-23 promoted, a Harvey White promoted and given the shirt rather than these guys. But if we do that, you then can't start having a pop at the likes of Japhet Tanganga when he makes mistakes, which he has been, and a lot of people are popping on. So we've got 4 players that have come through our academy that started against Leicester, for example. We should be applauding that as a football club, and getting rid of that dead wood for me is.
Have we got?
Well, it's brilliant. It's brilliant from that perspective.
Have we got players in every boys? Have we got cover in every position? I'm just trying to think of the squad that we've got now.
I mean, centre back we will have when obviously we've got
2 for every position except for Kane. I think it is.
Well, is that what it is?
It pretty much is. But it's also as Frank was saying, that you can chop and change systems a little bit. Conte seems to quite fancy Bergie if he doesn't go. As he said it himself, as a striker, Romero comes back. He covers the right side a little bit better when he is in the team. So you can, your right wing back, it doesn't have to be so on it as much. There's a little bit of fluidity. The 2 new guys coming in, not got a position. So there's a little bit of chop and change. And also, if you're playing for a manager you love, you go in goal for them. Or, you'd play up front.
Well, you fight. I mean, listen, I think the important thing is
they'll come and cover other positions for you and run through walls for you. Don't underestimate that. If you're playing for a boss that you love and you're 100% committed, if you're a centre midfielder, you will push up. I've seen Gary Doherty play up top for us against the Arsenal in the semi-final at Old Trafford.
We're going back to those days. God, where are we going?
Exactly. But he done it. He went and done it. He nearly actually scored as well.
But as you know, that bloke was so dangerous in your own box. You try to throw him up the other box. He was just like,
it's so don't underestimate that.
Correct. Boys, sorry to keep butting in, but what do you think of the players that never got a chance to move today, i.e. the Rodens of this world, the Dohertys?
A good point. That's a very good point. I mean, listen.
Where's their future like? Are they going to be getting game time? Oh, no, we're in the FA Cup.
John, let's ask.
Go on, ask the panel. Ask the lad.
Jace,
what do you reckon, mate?
Jace, what do you reckon of those players there?
Go on, Jace.
Right, so Roden.
Well, I definitely think Bergwijn will get game time because, if you look at his Spurs career, you could argue probably he may or may not deserve it. But in the last 2 games for Conte, he's won the game at Leicester and he was man of the match against West Ham. So he's, I'm not surprised he hasn't been jettisoned today. I'm sure Conte probably thought there's a lot more people out the door. Roden, I think you'd have to have, all 3 centre halves injured before Roden's going to get a game. And we still know probably the 2 right wing backs are not ideal for him. So I suppose my worry would be when you look at the current squad, if we pick the 3-4-3 system and we're 2-0 down away to Aston Villa, even those that are on the bench, you can't really change from that system to change the game. You can't suddenly bring on a big bloke and go more direct up front. You can't suddenly think, oh, we're 2-0 up, we'll drop the wing backs back, we'll have 2 conventional right backs and things like that. So that flexibility to change tactics and totally change a game, you'll be taking a winger off for a winger, a holding midfield player off for another holding midfield player, a centre half off for a centre half. So that would be my one concern. But like I say, I'm still. He's got rid of 4 or 5 players today that he had no intentions of ever picking. And you go back to the Chelsea game, all those are bodies out. Lo Celso not on the bench that day, Dele not on the bench that day, and Ndombele not on the bench that day. It was Chelsea in the league with a chance in theory, to catch them. We all know before the game we're probably unlikely, but so in a really big game like that, those 3 players weren't even on the bench. So actually, what have we lost with those players going out? Clearly players he thought have no future and I don't want to play. So he's brought 2 in and got rid of those out. So we are stronger. We're just not as stronger as probably as the supporters would like us to be.
I must say we're just going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. When we come back, we're going to be discussing the 2 new guys through the door. For watching audience on YouTube, there's nearly 1,600 of you watching us live. So thank you so much for your incredible support. Quite incredible, like I say. We're currently, what we got now, under 2 hours left of this January transfer window. Spurs, like I say, with the 2 new guys coming over from Juve. We'll actually start on Spurs' first signing they announced today, and that was Rodrigo Bentancur. We'll come over to...
That's you, basically.
Well, listen.
That's
The medical went well, right?
Oh, well, listen, absolutely fine. Flying
I
colours.
I think Frank's the one to talk about this because he's seen. I mean, I don't know if the other lads have, but me and Frank have spoken about him. And
we can start with Frank. We can definitely start with Frankie on this one. Frankie, like I say, he's obviously signed now on the dotted line. As we understand, it's for a fee of 19 million euros. That's payable in 3 years, which may increase by a further 6 million, dependent on certain sporting achievements. Happy, Frankie, from what you know of him and what you've seen of him?
Yes, when Aston Villa were in for him a couple of weeks back, I was saying to everybody, we should be jumping all over this. This is a guy who's still 24 years old. He's got that South American steel, although the Argentinian contingent of recent years hasn't particularly served us well. But he's tough, technically better than what we've got in centre midfield, takes the ball well on the half turn, has got that little short burst of pace, not over long distances, but over a short distance to sort of skip away from a challenge. Neat and tidy on the ball, lots of interceptions and tackles, and it's exactly what Conte likes in the pairing of centre midfielders that he plays in his system, as he always has done. So I think it's an upgrade in my opinion. He came through Boca Juniors. He was one of the jewels of their academy. He was at Juventus. Pirlo, who knows a lot about that deep line centre midfield role, absolutely raved about him and played him every week. He's got lots of Champions League experience. He's won lots of titles at Juventus. He's just obviously lost his way this season and fallen out of favour with Allegri in the 4-4-2 system he plays. So I'm happy with this signing. He's a workhorse. He can get about the pitch. But like every signing from Serie A or the Bundesliga, the acid test is the Premier League because it's so unique and so different to any of those leagues. Just the weather, the amount of games, the physicality of the league, the pace of the league. And if he can adapt to that, I mean, obviously, we've seen lots of good players who have been highly rated across Europe come into our league and flop. So, as Ant's been saying to me all day, they've got to hit the ground running. There's a lot of pressure for him particularly, but I think that's a great signing. For the fee that we've paid, I think it's a bargain. I think it's cheap.
Let's come around to Jamie on this obviously new signing. Jay signed a contract until 2026. Of course, he's won 3 consecutive Serie A titles between 2018 to 2020, in addition to lifting the Super Coppa Italia twice and the Coppa Italia twice in 2017-18 respectively, and then again the 2021 season. So, listen, he's used to winning trophies. He's used to playing in the Champions League. How much have you seen or researched about him, Jay?
So me personally, I've not seen a great deal of him at all. I will say that I was speaking to a good friend of mine who is a Juventus fan, and he wasn't sure on him at first. I think he said in the first couple of years that he was at Juve, he did very well. Unfortunately, under the new manager Allegri, it just kind of hasn't worked out. I think Frank said the exact same. It just hasn't seemed to work out for him under the new guy there. So He's obviously a regular for Uruguay as well. He started pretty much all their recent World Cup qualifying matches. I'm sure he'll start tomorrow. So he's well established in that sort of team. One player he did compare him to, my friend who's a Juventus fan, was Brozovic at Inter. And of course, he was an integral part of Conte's side at Inter. So, I mean, if you can get a player that's kind of similar, that can do a similar role to Brozovic at Inter, then I think that would be a really good signing. But it does seem like a Conte type midfielder, and we've seen him try to pack the midfield this in the last couple of matches or so. He packed the midfield against Leicester with Højbjerg, Winks, and Skip. All solid midfielders in terms of doing the kind of the nastier stuff. I think yes, we do want a creative midfielder. The one thing I'd also say is that or maybe like a number 10 or something like that. My friend did actually mention that he actually thinks that Kulusevski is more of a number 10 and he's better suited playing kind of through the middle and behind the two strikers. So that could potentially also sort our need for a creative midfielder or a number 10. So I'm really interested to see how Bentancur gets on. But yeah, from everything we've seen of him or heard about him, he does seem like a Conte signing. So, and that was clearly a position that Conte wanted this month was another midfielder. So, I think it's an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Rich, let's come over to you quickly. He was one of the leading players in Juve's 1920 title-winning season under Sarri, and then upon establishing himself in the 11, Sarri was quoted as saying, "Bentancur is not important; he's fundamental." I don't know whether he's almost lost his way in the last year or two. Because I'd say he was one of the mainstays in that Juve side. Do you have an opinion on him, Rich, or are you waiting to hold judgment until you see him in a Spurs shirt?
How about this for a refreshing take? No, got no opinion on him because I've not really watched him play, to be honest. And you'll find a lot of people will go, "Oh yeah, I think he's this, I think he's that." But I'll be honest, Rick, I've got very little knowledge of him, but I have very little knowledge of Son when he came in and a few other players because I hadn't really watched the Bundesliga. So, whatever's gone before with him might not be so for the Premier League, but then he might refine his spirit. He's what's the word? Charrua, which is like a South American Spanish phrase of very Uruguayan. It's that there's no literal translation for it. Remember when Terry Butcher had his head bandaged and he was smothered in blood for the England game? That is exactly that. That is Garra Charrua, and that come on, that feeling, that thing of football. So if he comes and finds that at Spurs, then he sounds like he's a decent player. I mean, his record speaks for itself. He's certainly got the experience. So if he comes and he's a round peg in a round hole, then brilliant. But I couldn't really tell you too much about him. I'll leave it to the other experts. This is why you have such a big panel, and me here just doing the nonsense. Really, you'll get you get the light and shade here, don't you? Jamie and Frank are just giving you the absolute lowdown, and I just give you the nonsense. So, but listen, player coming in, Conte likes him. Let's see how he goes.
We'll come back around to you later, Rich. But it's about petrol stations and flowers, shall we? Let's go to Jace. Jace, very quickly. Again, don't know how much you know about the guy, but he was a product of one of the world's finest academies coming out of the Argentinian side, Boca Juniors, where he played 7 years before promotion to the senior squad. As a senior at Boca, he won 2 Premier Division trophies, 1 Copa Argentina trophies. He was an under-20 Uruguayan international. He also won their South American Championship trophy. I mean, he's used to winning. I hope he might carry on winning at Tottenham, fingers crossed. Hopefully he can carry on that trend.
Well, a bit like Crackers. I don't watch Serie A. I stopped watching the Champions League coverage when we were knocked out of it. So I haven't seen him. And probably like 95% of people, I'll go on Football Manager and look at his future rating and think, oh, there's a good player. But then, if I look at Dele Alli's, he's will be probably as high as Kulusevski's as well. So, and Bentancur. So we don't know. And of course, it almost doesn't matter how good he is in Italy. It's how he will settle into the Premier League, because Andrei Shevchenko was wonderful in Italy and never settled into the Premier League. So, and then there can be other players that don't do anything abroad and come here and look fantastic. But all that matters is we have got 2 players in right now that can start games where we've shipped 4 or 5 out that can't start games. Good point. That's the starting point, and that makes us that little bit stronger.
Absolutely, totally agree with that. Let's go to Lee before we come to Ant. Lee, listen, overall, so he's accumulated 3 Serie A trophies. He's won 2 Italian Cup trophies, 2 Italian Super Cup trophies. That's a total of 11 honours at just 24 years old. So it is really, really impressive. Do you think we've got one that we should be keeping an eye on here, or again, will you reserve judgment until you see him in a Spurs shirt and getting a run of games under his belt?
Well, it took Tunga and Ndombele 2.5 seasons to kind of get going, didn't it? And he's just gone back to the club we purchased him for 55, 62 million, whatever it ends up being. So look, I think you've always got to reserve a little bit of judgment. But look, we're going to back the guys. There's no doubt about it. They're going to wear the Tottenham shirt. They're going to back it. I was quite interested. Frank was posting some potential formations on the group earlier and how that's going to sit. It's going to be fascinating how Antonio Conte sets up now with all them positions. And as Ant said earlier, the glaring miss is backup striker. But when you look at forwards rather than just a striker, if you look at forwards now, he's got options. He's got a Bergwijn, he's got Kulu, he's got Mora, he's got Son, he's got Kane. So there's quite a lot there. And then if you look at that wing back scenario, it might be interesting. When ages ago in a comment, somebody said about. I think it might have been Raj, to be fair to him, but somebody said about Lucas playing right wing back potentially. I think that's where for the system, as Frank was talking about earlier, it's so important to get your wing backs playing as part of your attacking. Maybe he's just going to convert one of them forwards to a wing back, and they're not really going to be a wing back. They're just going to be more of a winger, but playing on that side because he's set up the way that he's set up with his 2. What did you call him earlier, Frank? Two blocks in the middle of the park. Do you know what I mean? So maybe that's how it's going to be. But I think that would I have liked a statement signing? I don't think we've ever made a statement sign. I think we had Chris Cowlin on the show earlier today, and obviously previously over a couple of shows as well. I think you asked him the question. What was one of the signings that you remembered? And he said Jurgen Klinsmann. And that was 1994. And arguably you could say Rafa van der Vaart, maybe. When did he come? 2000 what do I want to say? 2010. Thank you, Dan. 2010. So between them 2, when else was the real statement signings that we've made? Well, Tunga and Ndombele, and he's just gone out on loan. So, it's crazy when you think about it in that way. I also want to pose a question to all of you, and obviously the viewers and the listeners as well. I'm actually quite stunned that Lo Celso's gone to Villarreal, but we haven't got a deal in the opposite direction. I'm thinking here of Pau
Torres.
Yeah, for example, left side of centre back, brilliant. Was in for him in the summer. I'm also thinking of Leon. Awar, for example, we've been linked with in the summer, and now Ndombele's gone that way, and also Brian Hill as well. He's no option there, of course, to go to Valencia. But I'm wondering, and this is a bit of speculation, but a question really. Are we setting things up? All right, teams, you can have these boys now, but in the summer when we come knocking, we want some of your top stock.
You'd like to think so, Lee.
You know what I mean, Ant? Do you think that might?
Yeah, mate, I'm spot on. You're spot on with that.
But Lee, the only thing I'd say to that is you could say to Villarreal, right, we'll give you Lo Celso and we want first option on Pau Torres. But if Pau Torres don't want to come to Tottenham, no matter what option you got on him, does it? You could say to Villarreal, we'll give you 60 million, and they accept that, and Pau Torres says, but I don't want to go.
But what
so, that's the only thing. And,
I think he will, though. I think shopping, to a point that you've made loads of times on the group and on the show as well, I think that, sometimes our shopping list, we all think, sometimes Tottenham fans think that we should be shopping in Waitrose, right? But actually, we really need to be shopping in Sainsbury's, right? And that's okay. Sainsbury's do some really quality, good stuff there, right? I'm not very good at analogies. Crackers, you'll have to help me out here. But Sainsbury's, Tesco's, it's actually all right. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're not shopping at Waitrose at the moment. And that's completely fine to do. I think, with the greatest respect to the likes of Villarreal and these type of clubs, finding players that would actually strengthen us is that kind of Sainsbury's, Tesco's area. Going after a Luis Diaz, for example, when Liverpool are up for it, like you said earlier, that ain't going to happen. So we've got to know where we are. And I think that's why I'm really pleased, because Conte is being backed. for those of you who think that Conte's not being backed, I think he is. Personally, it's just my opinion, so you can absolutely disagree. Of course, I think he's being backed because he's looked at these players, he wants them out, and they've gone. And again, I agree with everything said on there. So look, I think that the players coming in, he knows they've won championships, as you said, Rick, before. And this is what we wanted, isn't it? We wanted young, hungry people that want to play for our football club that have won stuff. And we've just brought 2 of them in. So let's see how we get on.
Well, Joanne, just coming to you, Anne. One of the quotes which has come out, which is nice about him, he's been referred to as a born winner with an attitude best shown by his own quote. He just says, "You just have to win." And that almost feels like a Conte quote, doesn't it? Whatever the circumstances, win. And I think that's what all we want, right? That's all we want at a football club.
Just play for the shirt, play for our shirt, give 100%. That's all we can ask for.
Yeah. I think, again, we back up that point. And listen, we'd rather have players coming in that want to be here than keep hold of players that simply just do not want to remain at the football club, right?
Yeah, we can't have these... is it like sort of maverick players anymore? I don't think it's not really the Conte style. Conte wants winners. Conte wants people that are going to graft on the pitch, give 110%, as we all know, and see his passion on the touchline every other week on Saturday at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So I think these sort of players that you sort of love to hate, but brilliant in your team and give like 10 minutes of brilliance, I don't think that's going to wash with Conte. Maybe I'm wrong, but reading between the lines, I don't think that we're going to be sort of after them sort of type of players in the summer. Maybe I'm wrong.
Frankie, I just want to come back over to you. You've seen a little bit of him. This is credit to Spursy Stats, who wrote an amazing thread up on Bentancur, and obviously we shared that for him. One of the things that have come out of that thread there is that he's deployed throughout the centre midfield when he was at Juventus, playing he uses that term register, or just in front of the defence, and is not seen to be the most strongest point of the pitch. Allegri personally said about him that Bentancur struggles by himself, implying that he normally is a player best paired with some protection. So if that's the case, then who do you see him being his midfield partner when he's playing for Tottenham?
It could be Skip or Højbjerg. I mean, Conte likes Højbjerg. I'd like to think that the future of our midfield is Skip and Bentancur. And I mean, he makes a hell of a lot of interceptions. Don't underestimate his defensive nous. But him with somebody like a Skip, who's a natural ball winner, loves a 50-50 tackle, they could really complement each other. So I think it could be a good balance, again, in the Conte system, to have those 2 in midfield. And I just think for the price as well, for what the kid's won. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's had a very successful short career in Serie A over 3 or 4 seasons. He's always been a starter, even this season, up until the point of where obviously he's been dropped. I think he's still made 20-odd Serie A appearances by obviously we're only in January. So it's not like he's been a complete outcast. And I just feel he does suit our system from what I've seen of him. But again, Rick, I will reiterate, particularly with some of the past foreign signings that we've seen at Tottenham, we all say, and most of the fan base will agree, that if you sign the best of the rest in the Premier League, Manchester United and Alex Ferguson made their living off that. They'd go and pick all the best players off the lesser teams, particularly us, where they took Carrick off us and Berbatov and so on. And that way, the players haven't got to adapt. So I can understand the shouts for Basuma, Neves, James Ward-Prowse, the names that keep popping up. And we've obviously got to hope, and it's always a risk when you're bringing in a player who's never played this style of football and has never lived in even an environment such as England. If you compare that to Turin and South America, it's going to be a culture shock, and some adapt and some don't. So there is going to be an element of that. We've got to be sort of lucky in a sense that he will adapt, because we don't know. He might be homesick. It might not be anything to do with his footballing ability. But I really think it's a good bargain signing. I think he is an upgrade. I think it's an improvement on the team. And we've just got to hope he settles and settles quickly into the UK and England.
I'm keen to ask. Go on.
Sorry, just quickly, Frank made a point there. We've done our afternoon show this afternoon, weirdly enough, and we talked about kind of their names, didn't we? James Ward-Prowse, Neves, Lamptey, proven Premier League players. Origi came up and that sort of stuff as well. I think that's where I'm a little bit disappointed. Obviously, Paratici and Conte, they know what they want, and they know that the players that they've signed before, they know what they've won. And, if it's good enough for Conte, then damn fine. It's good enough for me. But I really want to be looking at, some of them specialist players in the Premier League that 100% will walk straight into this team. And James Ward-Prowse improves the first 11. Tariq Lamptey improves the first 11. Neves improves the first 11. I'm not saying these two boys don't, but what I'm saying is they definitely do.
No, we know. We've seen them in the league. We've seen them play the rhythm, adapt to the rhythm and the pace of the league. I mean, it's even a case of logistically, most of them, I mean, they don't even have to move, really. Some move 2 hours up the road from where they're living at the moment.
And for me,
it's that adaptation period. They don't have to go through that.
Just having a little flavour. Look, I'm sorry, but there is a pecking order. We said this in the group the other day. There is a pecking order, and unfortunately, we're not. Look, our average finishing position in the Premier League history of the Premier League is 5th, and that's pretty much where we are in terms of the pecking order as well. Pretty much, But there's an order underneath us as well. If you go and start, I don't know if you want to use the word, Rick, tapping up or putting some feeders out there for a James Ward-Prowse, we start sniffing around a Neves, we start sniffing around a Tariq Lamptey. They, as Cracker said the other day, they will come to Tottenham. They will come.
They're at Brighton, Wolves and Southampton. Of course they'll come to Tottenham. But I don't know. I mean, I don't want to sort of encourage, spark some fury in the comments, but is it because in the Premier League you have to pay a premium to get these players? Is there an element of that? Because we are known for obviously, we don't always splash the cash. I know obviously we had that horror window of the summer of 2019, which is still haunting us. But is there an element of the club don't want to play the premiums to get these players out of Wolves, Southampton and Brighton? I don't know. But I do feel in the summer, if we do go big and we sign, for instance, I'm just plucking a number out, 4 players, I'd like to see at least 2 of those be from the Premier League.
Yeah. Just Jimmy's put on the screen about the Celso. We will come on to Giovanni's exit shortly. But before we do...
mental.
Yeah, that's just to read that out there for listeners on audio. So Lo Celso, 1 goal, 3 assists in 55 Premier League games. I see Jamie's reaction there, head in his hands. I have no words to describe how happy I am to see the back of him. Not just those stats, but his stinking attitude as well there, Jimmy says. I'm just really keen to kind of get the guys' thoughts just on where they see Bentancur fitting in. Let's go around to Jace on this, then we'll come to Jamie and then Rich. Jace, for you, what is your preferred midfield pair now, as things stand now with these guys coming in?
Well, my preferred pair is still the first 2 that I've seen, because I've never seen Bentancur play a Premier League game. But I figure probably by April, the ideal in April would be Bentancur and Skip.
Right, okay.
But, the very first game, what is our next league game? I can't even think what our next league game is. It wouldn't surprise me if they start...
Southampton, I think, Jason.
Southampton
and Wolves.
Yeah.
Southampton and Wolves.
Southampton and Wolves. So, it'd be interesting to see if they literally start the first game, or Bentancur hasn't been playing as much, and Italian football's just had its break as well, hasn't it? It may well be that he starts the first few on the bench. But like I say, April... Skip and Bentancur, I think he'll be where he wants to be. I think.
Yep. Okay, interesting. Let's go over to Jamie, our transfer correspondent for tonight. Jay, is there some news that we should be knowing? Is it hotting up? Will we go to Jamie? Jay, can I ask a favour? And people will pick up on this. If there's any chance you could just shift to the left for us a little bit, we're just losing you in the Last Word on Spurs logo. There's lots of people want to see that beautiful face of yours. So.
That's all right.
I mean, people, can we get James to shuffle to the left? Was it the Char-Char? Was it the Char-Char smoother, God's sake? Right, over to James. Yeah, fantastic. Cheers. Just a bit further
we
down.
Need another rallying call quickly, Jay. Another rallying call. Nearly 1,700 people watching this live. This is amazing. If you're loving the content, hit the like button. Let's get us over 1,000. Come on, you Spurs. Me
and Ant are about to walk off. I'm seeing Ant's face. We're both about to go in.
Any better?
Fantastic, cheers.
That's lovely, Jace. That's beautiful.
Joe, let's come over to you. Is there a slight transfer update we should be aware of?
I mean, look, obviously Dele Alli he's gonna end up at Everton, and does that. I think Sammy McGovern we had on the show recently, a very good journalist in the Mail, was saying that that's going to be imminently announced. So yeah, that'd be an interesting one. I'm interested to see how Dele gets on there. I think, as we all know, it's time for him to it was time for him to move on. We were never going to get an outstanding deal for him because he's not the player, as I said, he once was. So, that one will be announced any time soon. But I think that'll be it for tonight.
Just quickly, Jay, as we stick with you before we go to Crackers, Bentancur for you, who will be that midfield pairing moving forward, do you think?
I mean, for me personally, I think, as Jason said, I think preferably I'd like to see Skip and Bentancur. We need to see what Bentancur's like in the Premier League first to actually know whether he's any good or not. But as Jason said, I'm pretty sure that'll be the plan. And for me, I want to see Skip as one of the main players in that midfield. I think that he is a very good player. He's a great ball winner. I think Bentancur's slightly different in terms of, I don't think he'll be kind of like an out-and-out central midfielder. I think he'd be more of like a box-to-box, a guy that will try to progress the ball forwards. I think when I was speaking to people that have watched Serie A, he's not the sort of guy that will play that number 6 role and really do a lot of the defensive work. It will be about kind of progressing the ball forward a bit more. So I think that obviously, as we know, Skip is a fantastic, wins the ball back brilliantly. So that could be a very interesting partnership. But yeah, for me, Skip and Bentancur probably will be the one going forward. But look, the thing with Højbjerg is that he keeps getting picked by
Conte really likes him,
and then he stays on the pitch as well, doesn't he? He's never really the one that's picked to come off. I mean, no. I think lots of man.
Jamie, just quickly, the fickleness of us Tottenham fans is literally proven with Højbjerg. Every single week after week last season, he was an 8 out of 10, a future captain. This guy was going to be the man. He runs through walls. He's our Terry Butcher. Yeah. We love him. And then now it's like, let's drop him. I'm not saying that we shouldn't drop him, but what I'm saying is, he's a leader on the pitch, and you're absolutely bang on. Conte loves him. I wouldn't be surprised if he sticks with him.
I just wonder whether under a different manager, under Mourinho, I don't think he was asked to kind of be as technically good as he is having to be under Conte. And I think in maybe like a more progressive forward-thinking system, he has struggled with that. But again, he's, you're right, though. He's a guy that he stays on the pitch. He's a guy that Conte keeps picking. So there must be a reason for that. I think now Conte will want players on the pitch that he can absolutely trust. And as we saw last year, Højbjerg is a player you can absolutely trust. He's a guy who's going to do all the dirty work for you. He's obviously, almost the manager's dream, really, isn't he? So I'll be interested to see kind of how he views Højbjerg in the team going forward. I think that'll be interesting. It'll be between him and Skip for sure.
Okay, interesting. Just going to get cracks and thoughts before we discuss our second signing of the day. Rich, I know you said you haven't seen much of him now, so I feel like it's pretty pointless asking you this, but we'll ask you it anyway. What's your preferred? What's going to be your preferred midfield? Either threesome going forward or twosome?
You're asking me what my preferred threesome is? Okay. Here comes Nigel.
I did that purposely. That was not an assist, I promise you.
It was, mate.
Like Jamie was saying, and he's seen him more. So he's saying Skip and the new guy, but Højbjerg, as you were saying before, like Lee was saying, we were all over him. I called him the dustman. He was picking stuff up. He was doing the dirty work. And under Jose, he was doing the work of 2 players as well sometimes. And he just looks jaded and a bit tired. But what we're beginning to see now in the midfield is an option, which is what you need, a bit of a depth option as well. So in some games, Højbjerg and Skip can play if the demands are not going to be that high. So you can give players a little bit of a rest. Højbjerg comes back fresher and stronger. He plays better. And then Bentancur comes in and he's better because he's had a bit of a rest. So we get a little bit of option. And that's what you need, is a depth with a little bit of quality. So, between those 3 of Højbjerg, Skip, and the new guy, you can rotate a little bit and cut your cloth accordingly to the opponents, but you begin to take players out of the red zone for injuries and things like that. That's why striker is very important area to actually start addressing as well. So you can give Kane a rest as well. You've got to have that little bit of depth with players you can trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Dansby says to you, Rich, last one I suppose after dark. That's definitely a different episode, that one. We're not covering this one on this show, I'll tell you. And coming over to you quickly on that. Again, I know it's difficult. We haven't really seen, him up front personal yet. What do you think will preferably be either the 3 in the middle or the 2 moving forward?
I think I can't see him dropping Højbjerg for the time being. I think he's going to keep the players that that he can trust. Yes, Højbjerg does come in for a bit of criticism, but again, you can't fault his 100%ness. I think he's going to embed. What's his name? I can't pronounce his name. Bentancur. Bentancur. I think he's going to.
You better get used to it, son. You'll be saying it every week.
I know, right? I know.
You call me up, slagging him off.
I think he's gonna just bed him in slowly and surely. Who are ya? Get out.
See, there is an advantage to Harry Winks, eh?
I know. At least I can pronounce his name right, Jace. No, I think he's going to bed him in slowly but surely. But I think for now he's going to keep the two, Skip and Højbjerg, just as a safe pair of hands.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that first 45 minutes and your phone call to me. I can't wait. I really can't. Right, we are going to go for our next break of the show. For our listeners that are on audio, for watching us on YouTube, there's 1,600 of you strong plus watching us live. Thank you so much. We'll leave Lee McQueen to give the Mr. Motivator talk about hitting that like button. But we are.
You know you want to give it as well, Rick.
I do want to give it, but
come on,
I can't deliver it. I just can't deliver it like you.
I know. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there, people.
Man, that's all Anne's face. I wanted to walk off with him. Right. Right, we are going to talk about Spurs' second signing of the day. Probably our last as things stand, unless we're in for any surprise in this last hour and a bit. We've just seen Rangers announce Aaron Ramsey going on loan there. And again, it's not been massively busy. I mean, obviously Newcastle have been the big spenders in terms of the Premier League. Everton now coming late to the party, of course, with Dele Alli, who we'll come on to shortly. But it's not been a manic, crazy window, has it? Really?
Them lot down the road have done nothing, have they?
They've just got that USA defender they've just loaned back out. That's about it.
Okay, so they've loaned someone out. But in terms of their top player that they signed, he's at Barcelona.
Yeah.
It might be Chelsea, right? Because I've got Sky on here as well at the moment, right? So it might be Chelsea. But going back to a point Jace made earlier as well, Ousmane Dembele, right? He needs to go somewhere, don't he? I mean, is he going to be like a Peter Ndombele, like just turning up at a club? Like he's going to go somewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, and, I don't think you'll see. I mean, listen,
I think it's either Arsenal, Chelsea, or Tottenham, isn't it?
What I can say is I know things are tough for him, but I don't think you'll see him at West Brom tonight.
Well, it won't be. No, but he'll rock up at QPR. Keep me going, QPR.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Mark Wahlberg and fitting Ousmane Dembele the way they're going at the moment.
Do you know what, Rick? I always dreamed of Spurs signing Peter Ndombele and Peter Undlove from Coventry and playing the two together, because the song writes itself on the terraces, doesn't it? Ndombele and love, only the two of us together flying high.
I can imagine Jay spelling that out from the Paxton.
And loves a bit of the crooning, doesn't you? You love a song like that, and that's your iPod all over that song, isn't it?
That'll be and
love.
Oh, a bit of yacht rock. No, can't be a bit of yacht rock, son. A bit of Michael McDonald. What?
That'll be Ant's warm-up gig when they come on in September. That'll start off, and then we'll carry on with One Love after that. Right. Let's discuss Spurs' second signing of the day. We're going to start with, let's go to Jamie on this one. Jay, we saw Spurs announce the signing of Dejan Kulusevski from Juventus. It's subject to an international clearance and a work permit. He joins us on an 18-month loan with an option to buy. So the breakdown of that fee, from what we understand, is it's 10 million of which, it's 10 million euros, I must say, 3 million of which are for the 2021 to 22 footballing season, and then a further 7 million for the 2022-23 season. The 35 million euro obligation is payable in 5 years based on performance basis. Should we be excited, Jay, on this point?
I think so. Look, I mean,
didn't sound convincing, did it?
That wasn't very convincing, was it? Do you know what? I'm mixed on him because, of course, he is a player that I feel like Spurs, if they desperately wanted him, they could have done that earlier in the window. It does feel as though maybe he is a slight alternative to kind of what we wanted. And in the past, when we have gone for alternatives, they've not turned out the best. But I do kind of have a feeling that this guy could become very good for Spurs. He was a player that does seem to really have lost his way at Juventus. Again, I was speaking to my Juventus friend today, and he was really talking this one up, actually. He just doesn't seem to have fitted in at Juve, especially this season under Allegri. He just hasn't kind of been able to fit into that. It's not really been shoehorned into the team properly, and that's why it's just not really featured. So, but he's a 21-year-old kid. when he was at Atalanta and Parma, he was one of the top young players in Serie A. So I think there's definitely potential there for him to be a good player, and he's also a guy that can offer a number of different positions. I think he's a guy who can play on the right. He's a guy who supposedly actually could be better down the middle, playing behind the two strikers. So for me, that's something that does excite me, because for me personally, Spurs have been best under Antonio Conte when they played a 3-5-2. And one thing that we've missed when we played that 3-5-2 is kind of a creator and someone that links the midfield with the attack. And, if you've got someone like Kulusevski potentially playing in that role, then I think that'd be a good thing for Spurs. That's what we've needed. So I'm interested to see what he can do. Of course, this year, as I said, he has been slightly underwhelming for Juve, but I think he's a guy that's got a big ceiling. And I think if there's one manager that can get the best out of a player, it's Antonio Conte. I mean, how many players have we seen come good under him at Spurs, at Inter Milan, and at Chelsea? So he's worked wonders with so many players, and this is a guy with huge potential who has just lost his way. And I really think Conte could get the best out of him. But I'm excited to see what he can do. He's not one that I'm gonna get carried away with, but he's one that I'm very intrigued to see what Conte can do with.
Absolutely right. I'm going to be very unprofessional now. I had a request from a Brentford fan who asked me to record an Eriksen piece, and I've completely forgot about it. And he's now waiting for this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to politely leave you guys for 5-6 minutes and be committed to what I've said I would do for this guy, because I feel awful for letting him down. I'm going to do a quick Eriksen piece. I talk about how much I loved Eriksen and how much I would love him back, and he's not here. And what I want to do is I'm going to hand over the reins of a combo duo to Crackers and Lee to carry it on. And like I say, go on, James. What are you going to? I'm going to get a bollocking now, aren't I? Go on.
So you're telling me Brentford's more important than Tottenham?
Absolutely not. But what I will do is, if I do honour someone a commitment, I do have to go through with it, and I feel awful for the bloke because he's promised. I did tell him maybe 4 hours ago.
Well, just say the same as Ivan Toney. That's all you got to do.
It's so difficult, isn't he? Right, I will be back in under 5. I'm going to hand you over to a combo of Lee and Crackers, who are going to discuss our new second.
The supply teachers are in. Supply teachers
are in. I'm going to be back with you in 5. Let's hand over to the guys. I'll be back with you in 5.
Following on then from what Jamie said, with obviously Kulusevski, this is a guy as well who I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago won the Serie A Young Player of the Year. And also somebody sent me something, most productive youngsters in Serie A. And this is all stats, goals and assists, starting from the 2019-20 season up until now. And he's the second most productive youngster, those born in or after 1999. So these are, teenagers or players in their early 20s. And he's second only to Dele Alli. He's got 29 goals and assists in that time. So there's obviously something to work with there. I know that he's an integral part of the Swedish team who've done pretty well over the last few years as well. So Conte, it's well documented as well. There was a thread Ricky mentioned earlier in the show, which was brilliant, very detailed. Conte wanted him at Inter Milan. It was actually a signing that he was after. So again, if he's a Conte player that Conte wanted before, I understand what Jamie has said, that getting him so late in the window, it felt like perhaps he wasn't quite first choice. But it seems to me it's somebody Conte, more importantly, knows very, very well, knows a lot about this player and feels that he can add to our squad. So if he's good enough for Conte, he's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Rich, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to just do a bit of Sky Sports now. And this is Ricky Sachs here. Yeah, you can catch us on Audio Boom, Spotify, YouTube.
Sorry, Jason. I was
going to come back to you. Just come around to you, Jason. So what do you think?
The only thing I was going to flip side at with Frank is that Dele Alli won Young Player of the Year twice. And if you put all those stats down, Dele Alli's top of them all. So you got to balance it that way as well, mate.
But with Dele, all his business was done 3-4 years ago. Kulusevski, he's only lost his way really for not even a year. So I'm hoping, again, Jay, we know this. It's still a risk because ultimately he's got to settle into England. He's got to settle into this very unique league that we always
talk about, isn't it, Frank?
It's the most demanding.
You mentioned earlier about Conte and his different systems. When he was playing under Conte, he played a different system to what they're playing now, or how they're set up. and maybe that's where he's lost his way a bit. Is he only 21? I can't remember if it was. I get confused.
21 years old. Yeah, bearing in mind Allegri plays
4 years older than Dele.
Sorry, Allegri plays a 4-4-2 system as well. He's quite rigid with Juventus, and he just doesn't fit in that at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite interesting now.
I think as well. I mean, you know, if you've only got him on loan for 18 months, you know, and it's performance based. If he contributes and the team performs, you pay. There's nothing wrong in that. And if he doesn't contribute, the team don't perform, you ain't got to pay a penny, and he's gone. So I can't really. There's not much risk in it, is there?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think we have got a really good deal for him. Actually, I mean, we're paying around about 10 million euros to get him on loan for 18 months, which in itself I think is a pretty good deal. And then the performance related add-ons are to do with qualifying for the Champions League, and and then of course he's got to have played a certain amount of games. So if we've qualified for the Champions League and he's played a certain amount of games and he's hit that threshold, then I think he would have been a player that we'd want to play 40 million euros for. And again, he's a guy who has got that potential to exceed that sort of fee. So I think it's a very good deal in terms of there isn't a great deal of risk to it. So
I'm commenting on the screen there, Jamie. So Bernardo too. Again, could be like Bernardo too.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I think the other thing, I'm excited. I think we've got a great deal on him. And then just another thing as well. I did say, of course, he's late on the window, was an alternative, but I think as we established, Paratici, he likes to try and get as many deals in place as possible. I know, Jace, we said this earlier, but he's a guy that will get a number of deals in place and see which ones come off. We've always been said that. I'm sure lots of clubs do that, and that's fantastic. I don't care about other clubs. But at Spurs, we've obviously lined up this as one of the deals. Perhaps our first target, Diaz, didn't come off, but he's obviously a guy we want. And as Frank said, he's a guy that was supposedly wanted by Conte at Inter Milan. So
who are you more excited to see? Who are you more excited to see, boys?
Oh,
Kulusevski. You lads.
Kulusevski.
He's a lefty as well. We haven't got a lefty who cuts in from the right, have we? And can sort of fade that ball across the box or shoot.
He can hit a ball, though, innit? He can hit a ball.
It's fascinating how they all fit together. I think
it's a nice balance. It offers us something a bit different as well.
Yeah.
Does he start over Mora?
Not yet, because I honestly, I think, and especially I've always said as well, I think I said it on the earlier show as well, I actually really like to see Mora through the middle. I think that's when he was at his best, especially under Mourinho. So I think that those two could be potentially competing for that number 10 spot. That's what I'd like to see. I've always thought that Mora plays best there. Supposedly that's where Kulusevski's best position is on the pitch, playing as a number 10. So I think that'll be between those two, kind of shooting out for that number 10 spot. So I think he's kind of that type of creative midfielder that Spurs have really needed. So, but
again, it's that bit of depth, Jamie, isn't it? You know, if he can't play, then Mora comes in, and we know that Mora's got it in his locker. Plays in certain games.
Exactly. I mean, people complain about Spurs going for another winger or Spurs going for another central midfielder, but then we always talk about why Manchester City the best team, because they've got that depth in those positions, and they're able to swap quality players out. And now we've got the option of swapping. Hopefully, he's a fantastic player for us, Kulusevski, and we can swap him for Mora. And then we've got Son on the other side, Bergwijn on the other side. So you've got some options.
Just talking about that again, it's a bit weird, but we'll get there. I think you'll get where I'm coming from in a minute, right? We were so heavily linked and so close and very, very close and amazingly close to getting Adama Traore, who all of us thought, and very widely reported by lots of friends of the show, all the journalists that we've had on the show and so on and so forth, that he was going to play a right wing back. I think, to be fair, in the group, Frank and Jamie, you called it really, really early doors that he was going to play as a right wing back, and that was how it was going to be preferred. Obviously, that didn't come off. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, hang on, he's decided not to get a new right wing back then, and we're staying with what we've got. Obviously, we haven't shipped either Royale or Doherty out. There's not a possibility, is there, that he's going to play Kulu or Steven Bergwijn or Lucas Moura as a right wing back? Is there? Do you think? Like, do we think that might be the left field change that may come in? Into
it might do Moura there, Lee, mate.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, has he got them for? Do you think that he could? I mean, we were going to convert Traore, so why wouldn't he think about converting one of the other lads that we've just mentioned?
Do you know, I've since heard, and this comes from a good source, that Conte never saw Traore as a right wing back. He was always to bolster attacking options. So, I mean, you hear these reports and he said, she said sort of thing, but I think we're going with Emerson Royale and Matt Doherty as our right wing backs until the end of the season. I think that's what he'll do. He was playing Doherty at left wing back. He played, obviously, done okay against Leicester. I know he hasn't set the bar high for his standards, certainly the ones that he had at Wolves. But unfortunately, I think that's what we'll be left with. Attacking wise, do either offer enough? Probably not. But if Conte is happy with those two, we're not sure, because obviously we're hearing all the Lamptey links and so on. But if that's the hand he's dealt with, and we're left with those two, I think that's who we will play. And that's that.
It might just be enough though for the rest of this season, and then rather than just try and pick anybody up in this window when it's very difficult, get through these last 20, 25 games, depending on cup runs, and then get to the summer and then look to get somebody, because it's not just buying somebody at 25 million and putting a body in there and hope they do well, because they come with like 3-4 year contracts. As we've seen, we've just had our fingers badly burned with that. So for the sake of 20 games, just chill. I know it might mean that we miss out this season, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. And if we buy another 25-30 million pound player and with a huge 4-year contract on top, which hamstrings us or makes us hamstrung to buy somebody in the summer, we're just like, it's the definition of madness, isn't it? Doing the same things over and over again. So, we might just have to lose a couple of battles to win a war here.
I'm about to say,
can any of them take free kicks or corners? I just read a comment there. No, it's true. You think I'm being joking? I've just read a comment. Who?
Bentancur can take a corner. He took him for Juventus.
Did he? Better than Lo Celso's, I hope.
I can't be any worse, can they?
Sorry.
I think Winks' corners have been all right.
Lee, now you're being silly, brother. Now you're being silly.
Can you believe, we were discussing this earlier, can you believe, and obviously I've got to say this for the viewers, that Harry Winks...
Why bring it up? Why
Harry Winks outlasted Gio Lo Celso, Tanguy Ndombele and Dele Alli.
Do you know what? You and Jace need to go away and just come back when
You're supposed to be taking me on that stag week to Bangkok.
Yeah, you're coming. Now, listen, I've got to give credit where it's due, mate. I've got to give it. I think he's done all right.
Rick, whilst you was getting yourself a little bit lighter or whatever you're doing.
Cheers, mate. John, I was just want to to his Brentford fan, Billy.
Brentford fan. But we were just talking about kind of a little bit of formation action and actually, Kulu coming in and Bergwijn staying at the football club, and obviously Lucas Moore. Do you think any of them could be converted, Rick, to a right wing back? Do you think that's in Conte's mind, or is that just being silly? Because we were chatting before, Adama Traore, by all accounts, he was going to try to convert him.
That was going to be. I know. Bridgie said that. I think you said it as well, Frankie. That was only going to be a short-term thing, wasn't it, with Adama? That wouldn't have been a long-term thing. He would have been there for a few months, and then he would have gone onto the right wing. Do you know what? The players like Bergwijn, Mora. I mean, I'm not being silly. I think would he not have already had a look at them and thought, have they got the ability? Obviously, he's been in now a few months. I think if he would have thought that was possible, I think we may have already seen it. I might be wrong. I don't know. I honestly think, Kev, I promise you, this preview's going out right now for Ericsson, right? Billy Brentford. I will get Billy on here.
Oh, Brentford friend. I've just seen that. Brentford friend.
Billy BS, mate. Don't worry about that.
Billy bullshit.
Just talking about kind of how we set up, and Jace, obviously we've got Southampton in the Premier League. You mentioned just came out to you, and you said, obviously we've got Brighton. We've got Brighton on Saturday, 8 o'clock kickoff. Absolutely buzzing for it. Back down the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
What these boys play? What these boys? They should be able to play, shouldn't they?
Well, this is the thing. That's what Jay said earlier, didn't he? Will they start? I mean, what do you think, lads and listeners and viewers? What do you think our starting lineup's going to be that, when we've got a fully fit squad now, how do you think he's going to line up? Who's going to start?
Who fancies that?
We've got Son coming back, Rick, haven't we? We've got Son coming back.
Romero.
Some might start. Some might start.
It wouldn't surprise me
if you're playing tonight for Uruguay.
Tomorrow evening.
Oh, tomorrow evening. Oh, great.
Yeah, he's playing tomorrow, I think. Yeah,
We'll be watching
don't jinx it, brother.
What time's that kick off? Anyone know what time that kicks off?
11 o'clock. 11 o'clock.
Richard's crossing himself.
Just on his hamstring, mate. 6 to 8 weeks.
Don't
say that. Lee, don't say that, please,
window
mate.
closes. No, that'll finish him tomorrow.
Please.
God, can you imagine?
In terms of how we're going to set up, I mean, how do you think, Jace, come around to you then quickly, how do you think we're going to set up? Like, when we had a full team before this transfer window, we would have probably been saying he's going to set up Skip, he's going to set up Højbjerg, he's going to have Regulon on the left, would we say? Maybe Royale before the Watford game. Most people would have picked him now, they probably don't. But, we haven't got a solution on that side still, have we, after this transfer window? So how are we going to set up?
I don't know. Well, even at left wing back, we got a bit of a problem because Reguilon wasn't fit before this break, and Sessegnon's never fit, is he? I sincerely hope Reguilon is fit because he's been swanning around in Dubai, which he's entitled to do. But if he's, if he was injured, he should have been back getting proper treatment and getting over the injury. So hopefully, if he's been out in Dubai, which he's entitled, like I say, he's entitled to do, then it means he's genuinely fit. I think it will depend on the injuries, mate. But I think we might see one of them because it's a cup tie. Maybe if it was a Premier League game, it will be a different thing. And there's still that thing, isn't there, about rotating players and having a chance to play them in cup football before you do. Will Romero get 60 minutes because it's a cup tie? But I think 3-4-3 will be the way he goes, and then it's just fitting fitness and availability in. But I wouldn't look too much at the Brighton game. I think that Southampton game will be the better eye for him to see. And by that, I mean, don't forget, Bentancur's not at Hotspur way, is he?
No.
So, first time
even obviously the medical was remote as well.
Or Friday morning or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I would wonder if those guys would, listen, they might be on the bench.
He won't start. Bentancur won't start.
I'd be surprised.
Do you know what's interesting? Just on Kulusevski, he's been likened to having similarities as an Iron Robin. I mean, listen, Iron Robin.
No, not yet, Ricks, not yet. Let him kick a ball first.
No. I'm just stating what was said by one of the previous coaches he was managed
under. Who said that? Billy Brentford.
Brentford friend.
Engelmark.
Let him come to the club, Rick. Let him come. Let him start some games and see. Let's chat after. Let's chat after 5, 6, 7 games. Because I can't be having he's the next Iron Robin and he's like Frank Ribery and no.
Might be.
Sorry. I hope so. I hope so.
He was going to the World Cup after his debut.
Exactly.
Out of interest, any news coming out of Jamie, our transfer correspondent? Anything, Jay, on Dele Alli? Any further movement on Dele Alli?
No. Not that I haven't seen anything. But
is that going to be? Do you reckon is that going to be done on as in midnight? Or at 11 o'clock?
I mean, from everything that's kind of been reported, I think it's all done. He's done the medical now, and I think it will just sign the contract. So yeah, it will be done before the deadline, I think. So just from everything that's been reported, yeah.
Can I ask on Kulusevski, and this is not to trigger you off, I promise you. Has anybody got any doubts over him?
No, I'm excited. I'm excited to see.
The only thing, a couple of nights ago, we were obviously Traore was strong. Then, of course, it was Luis Diaz, and it does feel that Kulusevski's name, if it was on that list, would have been quite far down that. So, is it just a case because we're so desperate for a signing, we're almost now happy that he's come in? But reality is, and Jay, you'll probably notice as well, this name has come up in the past.
He has come up in the past at the beginning of the window.
We spoke to Fabrizio and Bridgie and, again, different people. His name has been on that list for quite a considerable amount of time. I'm just a little bit surprised, again, from the perspective now that, listen, it's good everyone's happy. We don't want to have negativity, but has anybody got any doubts at all as to who has made that signing? Do we think it's Paratici?
No,
Conte, or a bit of both?
I think it's a Conte signing. As Jamie said, I think Paratici, the way he operates, he identifies multiple targets and offers them to the manager. And again, by all accounts, Conte was never 100% there with Traore. It was more a Paratici signing, which makes sense because obviously we were looking at him last summer. And the one statistic that is encouraging for both is their running stats. And I know, obviously, that's the very basic in football to be able to get around the pitch. But attacking pressures from Kulusevski, one of the best in Serie A over the last few seasons. And for a team that has just got rid of several players, one in particular, whose work rate is absolutely abysmal, to at least have two hard workers in the team.
Yes, that is important. Yeah,
an encouraging attribute for both, because we know they're both going to work hard on the pitch.
Yeah. Jace, again, this is not to trigger you off. I've just seen Palace announcing a signing of a forward. I know we had that debate earlier. I will come on to this about the Harry Kane debate, because I know you said to me that Origi wouldn't come and sit on our bench. And again, some of the other struggles we mentioned, that's always a problem. But I'm intrigued again to have that debate with you guys very soon. But we will go for our next break of the show. For our listeners that are on audio, for our watching audience on YouTube, we still got a good all between 15 to 1600 of you watching it strong. So thank you so much. Let's discuss, guys. We'll come on to the striker debate, but just to focus more on the outgoing so far of today. And we know there's still one at the moment that's still pending. This Billy Big Bollocks and all this coming through. Honestly, these comments. Right, John. Let's get the Tungy debate out the way now, so this one doesn't drag on. Jace, are you going to say, "I told you so" to me?
No, we all know what the situation. No, we know what the situation has been for the last couple of years. I'm glad he's gone. Good luck to him. Hopefully, he plays well in France. The figure. The buy-on figure that Leon have got, we know full well that Leon won't. But I think the key to that, the key to that is if you'd have agreed a sell-on figure of say 20 million for him, and he does play well for Leon, then they can instantly flog him for 40 million to somebody else and instantly rip the profit out of it. So what it makes sure is that if he does do well and a club does come in for him, then Tottenham still have a chance to control what money they've got. But it was the player that we desperately needed. But it just didn't work out, did it? It was, the YouTube clips and all of that looks absolutely. We've signed a superstar.
We signed we thought we signed the Dembele / Ericsson replacement.
Absolutely, and the strange thing is, still to this day, that the key attributes I've got are the one things we really want in this team. Yeah, you can't have that one attribute and then 10 absolute weaknesses in your game. So he's back to a league that he likes. Hopefully he can sort himself out and get some desire. I think one of the boys said, is there any chance of him coming back? Can you imagine how it's been difficult for him to adapt?
I mean, that dressing room, would they take him back now for the way he's
been?
Well,
I mean, imagine him if he's found being at Tottenham difficult now, what's he going to feel like if he's done well in France for 6 months and has to come back?
I have to say, Dyer and Romero's face when he was coming off against Morecambe, I mean, they look just so fume with him. Lee, I've got a question for you here. I wonder, do you think now on the back of that kind of outgoing, there'll be a bit more due diligence done, a bit more further now from Tottenham when they make, listen, he's been our club record signing, 65 million. Should questions be asked about how we've not done our due diligence better on him? Bearing in mind, I think we got a warning very early on into his career that he had a bit of a form for this. To put it politely,
very much so, Rick. And look, I've been quite open, and I'll say it again. I think the recruitment process at Tottenham since Mitchell left has been appalling. If I'm brutally honest, I've been in recruitment myself for 20 years. So I've never done it for a football club in terms of football players. I'm never a football agent, so I'm not an expert in that particular area at all. But from the basics, permanent recruitment is all about getting the culture, the behaviour right in an organisation, whether or not it's a football club, whether or not it's a restaurant, whether or not it's a hotel, whether or not it's a multi-million-pound business. Regardless of what it is, you have to have an essence. You have to have the centre of what that means, the why, as it was called, or as we call it. And I'm a massive believer in this. If you get people that are bought into the journey, the why, what you're doing, where you're going, this is the whole piece. This is what makes people thrive in whatever work environment they're in. The minute you get that wrong is the minute you're going to start to have problems. Or the minute that you've identified that, but you bring people into your organisation, whether it's business or, like I say, into a football club, it's the same thing. Forget the talent. The talent is always going to be secondary to attitude and behaviour, in my opinion. And I've seen it so many times over my career of 20 odd years that if you get that bit wrong, regardless of what entity it is, what sector you're in, if you get that bit wrong, it is a disaster. So we have to do more due diligence on the personality or the profile, the behaviours of individuals coming into the football club. What do they want? How do they want it? Where do they want to be? What do they see their vision is? I think I've said on the show before, you know, time and time again, sorry for boring everybody, but, you know, if you peak at the age of 22, where else is there for you to go? If you peak at the age of 24, 25, you know, you need to hire people, bring players in that are on a trajectory of upward trajectory, but not too high. Look at Dele Alli. Hopefully, he can resurrect his career with Everton. But at the end of the day, if Dele Alli's career's peaked already, it means he's only one place he's doing is he's going down. Let's be honest about it. He's about to join a Premier League club that's in the bottom quartile of the Premier League. Now, you know, 4 years ago, he's banging in a brace against Real Madrid in Wembley against people.
You look at Italy, you look at Aubameyang, you look at Donny van der Beek, and you look at Dele Alli all today, where they've gone and what they've gone for.
It's insane, isn't it?
3 years ago, I would have called you insane.
Yeah,
exactly, mate. And the thing is, it happens time and time again. It's not just about skill. You know, skill comes secondary. Look at Conte. Who would have thought that we're sitting here today? Let's be brutally honest, everybody. Who would have thought that we're sitting here today and we're pleased that the Celso 40 odd million, Ndombele 60 odd million, whatever. Dele Alli,
that's 110,
yeah, probably worth 80.
Yeah.
That we're pleased with them going out the door. And you know, on that basis, it's craziness. We need to make sure that we are not wrapping everybody up in cotton wool, but understanding their backgrounds, their where they are, their behaviours, their competencies around the human. And I think that's what Poch got so well. I think that is what Poch nailed.
Can I just say one thing though about those signings? And Bridgie, we had him on the transfer show with Andy the other night, and I'm seeing a lot today, and rightly so, because we all know Poch wasn't back when he should have been back. When we moved stadiums twice, we're not going to cover old ground. But they were very much Gio Lo Celso and Antony Costa. They were very much Pochettino signings, and Bridgie confirmed that they were his two main targets. And we backed him there. And I'm seeing stuff on social media today saying that Levy signed off on those signings, so it's his fault. I can't believe, you know, what a waste of money. Well, no, in his defence, for once, he actually put his money where his mouth was.
Players. Yeah.
And Pochettino, as much as we love him, he's got to take an element of blame there for both of those.
That's a key, Frank. That's a key, Frank, because, you know, as supporters, let's be honest, I don't remember a single supporter didn't want Antony Ndombele. Me as well.
I wanted him.
People say you got to sign your number one targets. We signed our number one target. Don't waste time, Levy. Go for these targets nice and early. We signed him nice and early. And if that move had broken down because it had leaked out from Daniel Levy, we're not quite sure how he'll adapt because he had a problem 3 years ago. How many people would have screamed, that's the problem with Levy, he's unambitious? Or how many would have said, he's got a point there? So, you know, when people are saying today and in any window, we should be going for him, he's our number one, why are we holding back? Just always bear in mind the Antony Ndombele problem. And if you're the chairman, then your natural reaction would be, hold on a minute, I did all this for you last time, spent 65 million, and I'm having to give him back to the club that we bought him from today. So that's the one thing I would say about Ndombele to defend the chairman. He did everything the supporters wanted on the Antony Ndombele deal, and now everyone's moaning about Antony Ndombele. Me as well.
Now they're moaning about giving him away. When, again, he's backing a manager.
When none of us want him, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We do all criticise Levy. I mean, I've seen some utter nonsense about this show this week, saying that we're in cahoots with the club, we're on the payroll, they get perks, etc. That is absolute rubbish. I think we're quite balanced and fair. We don't want to make the show a complete misery when times are bad, and ultimately we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Well,
especially when they're 2 hours long, Frank. I know, Jason, sorry to say it's 2 hours, so it drives you mad.
Cricket on.
When it is 2 hours, can you imagine for 2 hours of negativity? It'd be draining.
We've also got to credit Daniel Levy when he does things that are right. We can't just all, you know, again, you can have an opinion on the owner, and you can say there's certain areas, particularly with recruitment at certain periods, again, with the 2 stadium moves, when we were flying high, finishing second, we should have capitalised on it. But we've also got to be balanced. And when he does things that are right at the time. We can't look back in hindsight and criticise him when it was right at the time. So, again, I've been very critical of Levy and lots of what he's done over the last few years, but he's actually tried in many ways to actually push the club forward. And unfortunately for him, I mean, he must be frightened to go that big on a player again, because the two club record signings, Celso and Ndombele, have probably the two worst signings the club's ever made.
But do you think now, Frank, do you think the summer now, though, obviously different scenario, different manager, different type of players we've got, do you reckon Levy will back Conte this summer?
I believe so.
And trust his process and trust his recruitment.
Because under Jose Mourinho, obviously, he had this plan to bring in Jose, back in with big, expensive signings. That's how Jose operates. Then the pandemic hit. Okay, so that curtailed, obviously, the expenditure. We had to look.
We never knew what would have happened. Yeah.
Well, instead of Skimra, we got Rodon. We obviously got a budget loan striker in Vinicius. So it changed the dynamic. I'm not saying Jose would have worked out if we had backed him, but I'm just saying this is what's happened. Now, last summer there was an element of that as well, because the world was not back to normal. We all know as fans that this club is not a sugar daddy run club like a Chelsea or a Manchester City. And we rely on what the stadium generates. That's always been the plan. They've always been pretty transparent about that. And we've almost got to accept that Joe Lewis does not and has not put his own money, his own cash into the club. We are self-sufficient, as we all know. So the pandemic over the last several windows has obviously halted our progress. It has. That's just a fact. What we will now see, in my opinion, as we did in the summer of 2019, when the stadium started generating revenue, we actually spent big, didn't we? Although it was a disaster.
We did back we've backed the manager, like you said.
It was 30 million, wasn't it? It's 130 million that summer.
We offered Kane a new deal. We offered Dele Alli a new deal. We upgraded all our best players' contracts. And then that's the way that we completely changed as to how the club had been operating. So I believe now we're out of the pandemic, pretty much. Well, we're there. The stadium is generating revenue. We've got lots of events to come. He's not just got Antonio Conte. He's not stupid in the sense, Levy, that he knows this is the best managerial appointment, arguably the club have ever made, for status of that manager at the time. I just cannot see, and I hope I'm right, I cannot see the manager not getting back this summer properly. As Bridgie said as well to us, Rick, on the show the other day, they're going to look to rebuild more in the summer, more surgery. We'll get a more sort of expensive, if you like, or more quality-proven centre mid, and we'll do sort of 6 out, 5 in, so to speak.
I think they're backing him now, Frank. Don't you as well? Like after today, with all the outs that we've had, I think they're backing him now. You know, on finances. I mean, again, they never have done that. They've never done that before.
Do that today, and that's backing the manager. We're starting to lay the foundations for this painful rebuild, as Crackers said earlier.
I just want to bring Crackers back in if I can, and we'll go to Jay and then Anne. Cracks, very quickly, just on Ndombele. I know you've covered him a lot in the course of the last 3 or 4 months on these shows. Any final thoughts on him departing? Do you think? I think you said it earlier. You don't expect to ever see him again in the Spurs shirt, right? That's it, done. As far as you're concerned,
can't ever see him doing one of my Legends nights, can you? To be honest, it's just never happening, is it? There's never going to be an
Rich,
evening.
With the level of quality we've had the last few years, he might make it on there.
Do you know? In all seriousness, Ndombele angers me as a footballer to waste what he's got. All that talent and just wasted. It's such a finite, short career. And, you know, as you know, I speak to a lot of the ex-footballers and they all burn to play one last time, to have one last big game. They never lose that. Every one of them to a man says, never retire too early, never regret anything, always give it your best shot, you know. And I'm very lucky to have spent some time with Ledley King, both on stage and off, you know, driving to gigs and to and from and that. And, you know, there's a man that just kicked a ball until he just could not kick a ball anymore. You know, he never trained during the week. He just wrapped himself in cotton wool, never went out to the training pitches with the lads and had the crack and trained, was in the gym just so he could play every week, and just until it was literally impossible. And then there's, you know, Ndombele, he's just wasted 2 seasons. And all these kids, as I've said before, that go through academies, 99% of them drop out, Rick, and it's devastating for them. And here's a man with a chance and the ability, and he's done that for 2 seasons of his career. Never mind it being at Spurs. Any player that does that, it's almost criminal. It is almost criminal to waste your talent like that. So, you know, I just, he makes me angry on that level. He's never coming back. He'll go elsewhere, move on, and that's that. So you know, just he was what he was. Just do your due diligence a little bit further and a little bit better from here on in. You know, it's that's all you can do. But sometimes you can do all the due diligence in the world, and something happens, or you know, they come along and they don't quite like what's gone on. I would say in Ndombele's defence and a few of the players as well, from Poch going to, you know, it was chaos there. It was toxic chaos. You know, Jose came in and you hear stories of one day he's bigging players up and the next day he don't want to talk to him, and he was messing with people's heads. And then Nuno comes along and like he barely spoke to the players, and you know it's just been chaos there. So you know there's a little bit of that to factor in as well with some of these players that haven't had the personal gumption and you know personality to cut through that and deal with that. So it was a mess. Let's hope that's the end of the mess now. And with Conte and Paratici running everything and giving a clear strategy of what they want and what they expect, the players and that buy into it, respond to it, and we just get a better team going forward.
Big message today, isn't it, Crackers? Big message to the rest of the dressing room.
If you're not ruthless.
It's ruthless. You don't pull your weight, any of you are out. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to get you out of the football club, and guess what? You're out. So if you want to stay playing for this great club, then you better pull your socks up and work hard. Because if not, someone comes around.
And you know what? On top of that, I'd like to give a little big up to Harry Winks, who we've gone in on week in, week out before. But there he is. He is always. Sorry, Ant. I know he's not your, but he is always giving his all. It might not be enough ultimately. Ultimately, he will have to go and replace with better quality. But attitude-wise,
can't fault it. Can't fault it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
He's 10
I think that's
out
why
of 10.
Conte likes him. He works hard.
Exactly.
Yeah. Before we go to Jamie, just Mitchell on the screen says, very disappointed we didn't push for a right wing back. We should have struck a deal with Brighton for Lamptey. 35 million plus Doherty going the other way. Mitchell makes a point there. The only problem we've got to say with all these swap deals is the opposition club have to want the player. You know, you have to question whether Brighton would want Matt Doherty based on what they've seen in this season.
That's the
big thing about January as well. You're never going to get a player like that. A club like Brighton, who are now in around the maybe European spots. I don't think why would they want to sell him now? I think that they're a club that are in a position where they can keep him until the summer and they'll get the exact same price, but they'll have him until the end of the season. So of course they're going to keep him, and that's why January. You've got to kind of limit your expectations of what we're going to bring in, because those top players that we want aren't going to be available. The players that are available now are players that the clubs have made available. And again, we've seen all the players we've made available today because they've got awful attitudes and stuff. And we don't want that at the club. We want to keep that away from the club. And that's why just getting in any old person to bring in a body or bringing in a player now, it's not the right thing to do. And so in a way, I'm probably glad that we haven't just gone and signed the right wing back for the sake of it, because then we'll be stuck with 3 right wing backs that we didn't want. So it's frustrating that we didn't manage to get what we wanted. But January, as we know, it's a horrible window to operate in. So I'm delighted. That's what.
Quickly, Jay, before I go to Anne, I just want to get everyone's sound, just the players that have gone out. And Ndombele for you, Jay, anything you want to add? I know, again, you were massive on him coming in. I think me and you were both battling Jason to say, look, it will work out. It hasn't worked out. He wants the apology.
He's the player that we all always felt we needed. Even recently, it's the exact qualities that we had, but attitude-wise, it was just awful. He never settled in England. I feel as though he didn't have that personality. I think he was a very shy person. He was also living here all by himself, and that's very difficult. And he just wasn't kind of that personality that was able to adapt to living over here by himself. And it's a shame. And of course, I don't think he had that support network around him of people saying you should be doing this, you should be working hard. And in that sense, I do feel sorry for a player like that, because you just don't have that support network around you. You can always go off course. And he's a player with so much talent, but we've seen that with endless players. Like Ravel Morrison's a fantastic example of a guy who all these United players big up.
Spot on.
And you see where he is now. He's just not a player that's attitude, I think, is a huge part in football. And unfortunately, Ndombele just didn't have it. So he was such a talented player, but he was never ever going to make it at Spurs. And I'm really happy he's out the door now.
I think it's harsh to say that he didn't have that support network around him, because all clubs have those liaison officers. Everyone else managed to settle.
But someone genuinely close to him. I think that's what you need.
No, but I mean, his captain at the Tottenham is Hugo Lloris, who came from Lyon. His best mate with him, once he got to the club, was Moussa Sissoko, who was French. So I think I know what you mean, Jay, but there's only so much a club can do. I mean, what we're supposed to do? Go and find another 24-year-old that plays for Lyon to come with him? It's incredibly difficult. I mean, if you've got such an introverted person, and I think Sessegnon maybe has a similar problem in that it's been easier for him to settle, but he has that problem, I think, with maturity of handling.
And get your cover going.
No, I agree. I don't necessarily think it was, sometimes I think you just need that person close to you where you're, related, or someone that you can trust. I'm sure as French captain, maybe Lloris was someone that you can trust, but I don't think they really come across each other particularly too much in the French national team. So I'm talking like a parent or a brother or a really close friend. I just think
France isn't that far, though, Tony.
Say again.
I'm sorry, but France isn't that far. It's local. I mean, with obviously he could easily. I know obviously it was different within the pandemic, but he's not like he's from Australia or South America. He could pop home in some instances. I know it sounds silly, but when they get 3 days off or a couple of days off, he could have easily popped home or got his family over here. He's got the money. He was on £200,000 a week. He could have bought them a house. I just think that with Tongi, I think it's all up to him. I think it's in his head. He's got the ability. The game is easy to him, but the old saying goes, doesn't it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I think that is so apparent to him.
Yeah.
And I think as well, you even saw on that documentary how hard the club did try. You did see the clip of Daniel Levy sitting with him. You did see the day where Aurier and Moussa Sissoko with him trying to. There's only so much you can do. And I mean, we've had it tonight where we're all talking about Tottenham, but Ricky's brain is at Brentford, and you can't help that.
Cheers for that, Jason. Appreciate it.
Right, even Jose Mourinho, just quickly on Chingo Ndombele. Jose, we had the whole episode of Jose Mourinho going out, breaking COVID rules, training with him.
Yeah.
But Jose, to be fair to Jose, we'll come on to it. I know, again, Jose takes a lot of stick at this football club, but God, has he been right about a lot of players, hasn't he? Dele, Tungi. I've got to say, he told some home truths.
Even Nuno said it, Rick. Even Nuno said it. And Nuno won't get any credit for this at all because of the way it went with Nuno. But even Nuno said it's very difficult. Like he used the word stroked his beard, didn't he? Very difficult, very difficult. That's what he did a lot. But he was referring to the dynamic in the changing room or in the locker room, as our friends overseas would say. So, I don't think it can be underestimated getting them three moved on from the football club for their own sake as well as the football club. I think it's perfect for everybody's situation.
Yep. Right. I want to, we're going to go for another quick break and then, for listeners on audio, we're now going to discuss Giovanni Lo Celso. Now, I'll be honest with you, as we saw the last 10, 11 days, this wasn't a name we was expecting to even be on the radar of departing the football club for as much lack of game time he's had. There was a feeling that Conte liked him. And again, I'll refer to friend of the show, Ali Gold. I think Ali was saying on, again, one of these recent YouTube videos that you normally get a feeling with Conte if he likes a player because he normally refers to their first name. But whatever's happened over the course of the last, last 3 weeks with Lo Celso, something has obviously gone on there, which is...
I think Dele's been playing Fortnite, hasn't he? I think Dele's been playing Fortnite. You mentioned Fortnite. Is that what you meant?
I didn't mean that kind of fortnight, but I know where you're going with that. We're going to come on to Dele. We'll come on to Dele shortly. But Lo Celso, quickly on this. Let's start with you on Lo Celso. I know he's probably that stat we read up earlier. It's
terrible,
so
isn't it?
I can't find it. It's so damning. So
bad.
Damning. The games to actual games to goals to assist ratio is honestly horrendous. Is he one of the? I'm not being negative here. Was it just a pointless signing when you look back at what we've had as a contribution? I mean, at least Ndombele got on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously injuries were against him in his time at Spurs, but I just think he's got to be one of the worst signings we've ever had in the last 10 years for sure. Never really did it on the pitch, boys, when he got the chance. You could say the Man City game when he came on 30 seconds later, he scored. Okay, thank you. But should be doing that week in, week out, in my opinion. But yeah, he's got to be one of the worst signings we've ever had in the last 10, 15 years. So good luck to him. Where's he gone? Is it Villarreal and Valencia's Gil, isn't it? So Villarreal. So he's back with Foyth. So
we saw the introduction video, of course, on Twitter, which we saw one Foyth welcoming there. We'll come around to Jace on this actually next, Jace. Lo Celso's exit. I mean, again, we have to emphasise that the deal agreed for Lo Celso is it will go to the remainder of the season, as we know. I don't know if there's been any information about the fee involved, Jay. Do you know that at all? Has it been disclosed about the fee for Lo Celso to go to?
I think it'll be another. I think it'll be another. If there is a fee, I did actually see there were some other reports saying that it wasn't actually a clause at all. But I think it'll be another case of where it'll be quite a ridiculously high value, so that if he does do well, then they won't pay that fee, and then there'll kind of be one that they negotiate. So. There was no actual reports yet of kind of what that fee might be, and even if there is one, so
is he done in your eyes, Jay? Just on the Celso, done in your eyes? Have you ever seen him in a Spurs shirt again? In your opinion?
No, he was just as bad as Ndombele. Easy. I mean, his attitude was pretty terrible, and you could tell he was another player that never really wanted to be here either. I think he started off okay, and I remember I think it was against a Leipzig match at home when he had a fairly decent performance. He was one of the only decent players on the pitch, but his attitude's just been awful, and he's a guy that doesn't look like he's want to be at Spurs. We've had too many of them, and that's why we've seen so many horrible performances from Spurs in Europe and some away matches, because you've got too many players there that just didn't want to be there. And again, it's as much as we're sad about a lack of incomings. I think just to get rid of some of these awful players, these players that had awful attitudes is really good, because I mean that's what we saw at the start of the Pochettino era was really clearing out a lot of the dead wood and players that had awful attitudes, and you started to then see a team that was more together, a team that was buying into the manager's ideas, all wanting to play for Tottenham, and that's the really important thing when you're starting on a new project like that is making sure that first you get a squad that's all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet, and everyone's buying into the manager's ideas. So this is a really important phase in Conte being here, getting rid of all that dead wood, and then starting to add the real quality around it and other players that want to be here. So I'm absolutely delighted that Gio went. He's probably the number one name that I would wanted out of the football club this month. So yeah, really pleased that they got that one done.
I think part of it would have been, you're right, at the start of the window, we probably didn't see him leaving. No. And there hadn't really been murmurs in since Conte had been in. But it seemed to gather speed immediately that Argentina squad got announced.
Yeah.
And whether there was that thing of I'm not quite fit, Argentina squad announced, bang, I'm fit. And Christian Romero, interestingly, didn't go, did he? No. Because they obviously thought, look, you're only just back to fitness. We've got this break. We actually want you to use this break to get yourself ready.
And it's also just and George, James, I don't want to cut you there, but it's also, I think it's also fully aware now amongst the fan base, as John Wenham puts out now, that it almost feels like they do use Tottenham, to quote John, as a rehabilitation centre for them to go off to Argentina. That's what it feels like, Jace.
You also had the problem, didn't you, with him earlier in the season where he kind of went unannounced. When that Brazil, and they ended up going for a game that they got called off and then couldn't play for 2 weeks when they came home. So you got that in it. We had the COVID episode last year with Lanzini at Christmas, didn't we? Yep. When he suddenly had all the Argies around Christmas Day and things. So there's obviously been one or two things. And I just get that feeling that once that Argentina squad came out, Romero stayed, and Lo Celso obviously said, right, I'm going. That was there was almost the final straw. On its own, it probably wasn't enough, but it was the final straw. I can't take this anymore.
Okay, let's go to Rich on him. Rich, Lo Celso, I don't think you're again another player you won't be having to a Legends Night anytime soon, Rich, I'm assuming.
Who's that? Sorry? Seem to sort of kind of remember him. Yeah, it's such a fine tradition of Argentinian players and an Argentinian heritage that runs through the club now. So there's a player that Ozzy Ardiles is around the club a hell of a lot. He's one of the ambassadors of the club. So there's no excuse for him not to have been able to go and speak to somebody like Ozzy and just get a flavour of, what's expected at the club and what the fan base is like. And, and Ozzy can fill him in a way, Argentinian to Argentinian, mano to mano. He'll sort of say to him, well, look, the club's a little bit like X, Y, and Z in Argentina. And, just sort of bring him up to speed. It's just, honestly, Rick, just another one with the terrible, terrible attitude. And that last Instagram post when he was dropped, and he's all that sort of indirecting of like, I'm not playing. Grow a pair, man up, just turn and go right. Well, I'm going to go and win my place back. We've got no room for people like that in any football club. I've been dropped. I'm really unhappy about it, and I'm going to be really narky and put something like indirect in. It's like, go away, stupid, like ridiculous. That's so immature. Yeah, like just come back and go right. I'll show you. You want to drop me? I'm going to double down, and I'm going to train double hard, and I'm going to make you not be able to not pick me. That's the type of attitude that you need if you're going to win anything. So all that is it's absolute nonsense. It's just everything with him broke down relationship wise with the club, and again, just another one out the door. As a fan tonight, I'm thinking to myself, oh, thankfully, he's gone. It just feels like a breath of fresh air.
You do feel that there was a negative energy transcending around that dressing room.
Yeah. It's like feng shui is that positioning of things, isn't it, in a room? Yeah. And they just feel like, 2 or 3 ornaments that you've gone, they're bad energy, and just chucking them out into another room and everything. Declutter, isn't it? We've had a real declutter, and it just feels a lot fresher and a lot better. So another one. See you later. I don't want to see you in the shirt anymore. Goodbye.
Frankie, let's come around to you. Lots of love for you here, Frankie, I must say tonight. Gio Lo Celso. Sorry, Frank. I know you've done these names to death over the. I feel like since you've come on the show, all you've had to do is just tell us where these players are going. Nobody out.
Lo Celso, how many times have we spoken about him?
I know, mate. I know.
I agree with Crackers. I'm guessing, and I guarantee, in fact, and it is a guess, but I'm guaranteeing he didn't ever approach Ozzy Ardiles for a sit-down chat.
I don't think no.
And absolutely how to get himself into the club, London, the fans, what to embrace, what the history of the fans. I can guarantee that he didn't do that. It seemed like when he got here, it was always like nothing, no emotion towards him. Never really sort of won over the fan base. Again, he was unlucky. Ant's got a point. He was unlucky with injuries. I think the best spell of form he had was when football returned post-lockdown under Jose. And when we finished the season, he had sort of a decent run of games, but then got injured again. So no real emotion towards him at all as a player, no affection. Didn't really even know his best position, Rick, which we've discussed before, where he was best utilised. So, as Crackers said, it is a declutter. It's a space, in my opinion, in the squad. I probably would rather a youngster take his place, because I can just imagine, again, the fact that he's been ushered out the back door. His attitude wasn't great. And that post he done on social media after the last game, again, appalling. Just sums his career up, really. Clumsy, I thought. A little dig at Conte. For me, after that, the writing was probably always on the wall.
Done, wasn't it?
With a manager like Conte, you're going to war with him doing that. It's a declaration of war. and ultimately the relationship with, again, a character knowing Conte as we all know him, would be beyond repair as soon as he done that. So it's his own fault, really, that this has happened today. He's got no one else like Tanguy, no one else to blame, in my opinion, but himself.
Absolutely. I do like that coming from Grant on the screen there. Spot on, feels like the start of when Pochettino joined, players that want to play for the shirt. I think it will feel like almost a new energy around the club now. You've got players that hopefully want to be there. We've removed some of those that don't. Again, I know we touched upon it earlier. I think a really good question that came in from Ant. I think, Ant, you brought it to the table about Rodon and Doherty. You just think, hopefully they'll get their heads down and know that if the opportunity comes, if Dyer gets an injury, Rodon's got to be ready. And Doherty, he's had football in the last few weeks. So these players have got to be ready, Ant, because they're part of the squad.
They've got to be ready. Got to be ready. Yeah. Conte obviously wants to trust them. Listen, Conte obviously wants to trust them. Let's get proven wrong, guys, and let's see what happens. And for me, it does feel like, I think, that sort of Poch era when he got rid of a few players and stuff, and it was sort of started again.
The Lennons, the Adebayors.
Yeah. So listen, I'm all for it, boys. Let's do it, and let's get through the next round on Saturday and probably meet Chelsea in the sixth round. Can't wait.
We'll be typical. Lee, come out of you on. It's so written, that, isn't it? Lee,
Me and Jace know. Don't worry about that.
Honestly, Lee, just come out of you. You two are worse than each other. You two with the awards.
5 times in 1 year. Can you imagine that in one season? Oh,
it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, of course it was. Spurs, isn't it?
Oh, it's so Spurs. Lee, quickly, Lo Celso, do you have a view on Lo Celso? Are we done?
Well, I think when you look at Gio and you look at the time that we had stuck another classic Tottenham, isn't it? We've stuck 60 million on the table, whatever it might be, for Bruno Fernandes, and then we go and sign Giovanni Lo Celso for what ended up being a cut price against that, wasn't it? It was like 45 million, I think, in total, 42 million initially on loan. But again, back the manager, so we backed Poch. And like I was saying earlier with Celso and Ndombele, when Frank was saying about it before, it might have been different if Poch hadn't been sacked. I think Giovanni Lo Celso was the last day of the window in the summer window, which I think ended in September. I might be wrong. Jamie, you'll be able to tell me properly. And he was the last player that came in, and then literally 7 weeks later, Poch gets fired. So that for him, it might have been different. But he has had too many injuries and he's useless. I mean, for those of you old enough to remember, do you remember a guy that signed for Southampton back in the day under Graham Souness? It was a guy called Ali Dia. Do you remember? Back in the 90s, right? And
me and Jay out the career.
He got substituted out the first game. You look at him and you think to yourself, it's like he's blagged his way. He was George Weir's cousin or something, wasn't he? He blagged his way into getting a contract for Southampton. You're thinking to yourself, some of these players blagged their way in as well to get into contracts, because it just hasn't worked for them. Look, good luck to them. We have to stress, right, Rick, that both Gio and Celso and Ndombele are loan moves, right? So, they might come back to a football club, but as most of the lads have said, it's unlikely, but they are only on loan. So good luck to them. Let's go. Hopefully they play brilliantly in their respective loan clubs and push that fee up when they come to buy them in the summer. But I don't think, Jamie, you might correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't think Gio's got an option to buy. I think he's just a straight loan. At least with Celso and Ndombele is an option there. Good
point. Do you know that, Jay? Has that been confirmed yet? Well, we'll just unmute Jay.
He's just left. Jason or Jamie?
Jamie.
Sorry.
Oh, Jamie.
Rick, so I'm going to have to shoot off in a minute, mate. Are we doing? Is Cracks doing a shit quiz or not? I thought it was like the return of. I thought it was being like the return of Raziak. What's going on?
I've just made a tea ahead of it.
I've just seen on Sky, right, and this is like 17 minutes before the window shuts. It's not Tottenham news, right, by the way, but I've just seen on Sky that Liverpool are close to signing Fulham attacking midfielder Fabio Carvalho.
Unbelievable young player. Unbelievable. He's been tearing up the
class, mate. Where has that come from? That has literally come out of nowhere. No one's even
building that.
That was out earlier today. That was
on. I'm getting excited thinking that we might go and sign Lamptey still.
No, Jason's best pal Fabrizio broke that a while back. But I've actually just had a message, which I've been told I can read on the pod here from somebody at the club with Conte's views on today. And it says, Conte he was fully aware that it was going to be a difficult window, which he accepted. The aim is obviously top 4. With Son, Romero and the 2 new signings in, with obviously valuable time on the training ground. We're not going to be playing 2 games a week, or rarely, but obviously when we're playing catch up with our games in hand. But he said that he's more than happy at the moment at Tottenham, and he's confident that he can achieve top 4. More than confident. So all of the hysteria that we've seen on social media, he's going to walk. First and foremost, let's remember he's on £15 million a year. And also, let's remember when was the last Tottenham manager who actually quit and walked away? I can't remember one. Crackers or
Frank, it's bedwetting. It's as simple as that. It's bedwetting. Listen, like you said, the club get things wrong. If Conte's happy, I'm happy. It's as simple as that. If he's come out and said he's happy tonight with that, and as I said, I would be happy with some of the players going more than those coming. So, happy days. If Antonio's happy, I'm happy. Wait till the summer.
I think Jack Santini, wasn't it?
Santini did after a couple of weeks, mate.
But barring that, I mean, who has ever walked away from Spurs? We'll go back, Jason. What Spurs manager, barring Jack Santini, who's obviously just popped up, but what Spurs manager has ever quit on the job?
I think the only other one that I can think off the top of my head is Berkinshaw, that went away at the top.
Well, he just walked away. Was it 84 or 85?
84 when he said, "Look, I've had enough. There used to be a football club over there." Other than Berkinshaw, I'm not sure. I can't really remember one that's walked away.
Yeah, Christian Gross is coming in. Christian Walk.
No, I think he got sacked, mate.
He was sacked, wasn't he? He was sacked.
No, he got the finger, mate, from the old boss, from the gaffer. He got the finger from the gaffer, mate. Don't worry about
that. He lost his tube ticket, didn't he?
Terry Neal went on Woolwich.
But this is what I mean. Not under Daniel Levy. I mean, I don't think a manager is hiring Jack Santini. He's paid well. He's in London. By all accounts, he's happier with today and happy. And he's the one over everyone who's been pleading for patience and saying this is not all going to get done in 1 or 2 windows.
Yeah.
So the panic and the hysteria from our pretty crazy fan base, like most fan bases are, to be fair, with football when you care so much.
It's really good perspective, isn't it?
We've all said that. Joe, I just think, Frankie, I still don't think we can believe we've got him. I know it sounds mad. I still now, and this sounds really cringe, so I still watch his first interview back.
Shut up, Rick.
I do. No, honestly, I do. No, that might sound weird. Honestly, I do. No, honestly, Anne.
What? We're happy he's here. Why are you still watching old? It's like watching reruns of EastEnders, mate.
Conte.
Yeah,
hey,
why are you still watching?
I still know the fact he's our manager.
It's amazing. Listen, I love the passion, Rick, but I just keep watching his same interview.
I keep watching Nuno's first interview. That's how sad I am. I make you so proud. With the gun to his head just off a screen, innit?
Me and Jace had to do that show.
Say something like Potch would say, wasn't it? With a gun to his head, I'll make you so proud. So
See, Alex don't think it's weird. Ricky has Conte pyjamas. I bloody do have Conte pyjamas. Love it, Ricky. Ignore Costa. Yeah, I've got some Frank in here, Costa.
Thomas Frank's your manager. What are you on about?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, Rick. Hold on. So before you put the baby to bed, you'd say goodnight to your missus. Before you go to bed, you watch the first Antonio Conte interview. Are you joking with me?
Tucked up in my Conte pyjamas, yeah.
Hey, you won't be moaning when I tell you I listen to the best Blue still on CD, will you? And you get your...
you're the one that earns me the 25p. Thanks,
yeah, there's your 25p. Thanks very much.
Yeah, Jason's whatever gets you off. Antonio Conte. Love the bloke. Honestly, I am so excited. I am so excited now. I just hope that he... I just hope, as Frankie says there, he is happy. Because...
I think Rick, just on that, that's why it was so important, wasn't it? For the backing of the club, the Conte getting the backing of the club. Look, Frank's got some outstanding information there. If Conte, from the words from Conte's mouth, is that I'm happy, it's always going to be difficult, patience going to be there, but with the guys coming in, the people who've got going on, that's great. Where do we think we can go, like generally? And I said this on the afternoon show. This afternoon, I said that earlier, didn't I?
Can I ask a massive favour, Lee? Do you mind if can we just quickly do Dele? Then I promise you we'll wrap that up.
Dele, I forgot about. He ain't gone. He ain't gone yet.
He ain't gone.
He's not signed yet, so effectively he's still Spurs.
I feel like in the next 15 minutes, we should have something because listen, 10 to 11. I know you want an advance on the shit quiz. I've not even checked in with Richie if that's even been done. So I don't.
It's only because I got to go to bed, mate. I got an early start.
So basically, you want to talk about the shit quiz. You just don't want to do Dele.
I thought we spoke about just signed for Newcastle. Jamie, come on, talk to me. Dan Burn's just signed for Newcastle. Does that mean that Roden is about to go and sign for Brighton?
Do you want to? I tell you what. Should we do a favour for all of us? Do you want to? Should we advance the shit quiz and then we can quickly do Dele if it comes up?
Yeah, let's do that.
Should we advance the? Rich, is that all right to advance the shit quiz?
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Yeah, I can rattle through one very quickly for you, and because you'll like this one. This one's right up your street. Actually.
Yeah, it's fine. Jace, one favour. We are still getting some comments. If you can just carry on shifting to the left a little bit for us, they want to see that beautiful face.
I can't see the cricket from there.
He's such a diva. Honestly, this guy. There we go. That's perfect.
No, let's quickly speak about Dele then.
Move that bloody logo. That's what you should do.
I can't. It's fixed on there. You can't change it, Jace. You've got more room to move your face than that logo. Right, we're gonna. Jamie looks like he's seen very serious there.
No, I'm just looking at something. I was just reading something. Sorry.
That's a very concentrate on the answers for the shit quiz. I've never seen such concentration.
Answers for the shit quiz. Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Right. Okay. So we're advancing the shit quiz, and we're going to hopefully do Dele by the time. This transfer window is over. Newcastle have just announced the signing of Dan Burn. So yeah. Right. Let's hand over to Richard Cracknell, shall we?
Well, I was going to go with a quiz called "He's Fine Ali Gone," but he hasn't gone, so I can't do it now. So I'll have to put that one. Yeah, so that's the quiz you'll never get.
Have you got any Brentford questions for Ricky?
Brentford.
One thing I didn't say is it's so good to see Ericsson back in the Premier League. So this is a beautiful thing.
Well, that's what I was talking about before you guys slagged me off for going to do the interview.
No, you weren't, Rick. No, you weren't. No, you was going to watch Antonio Conte's interview about him being interviewed.
Eric Dye, gone for an Eric Dye.
All right, so listen, some new players in. Antonio Conte's happy. Next rest of the season, game on, yeah? Game on. It's going to happen. Let's get it together. Game on. So, this evening's shit quiz. The game is on, okay? The game is on. Jason, I'm going to bar you from playing in this because you're too good at this. So, I'm going to give this to the other lads. You can come in at the end because you're going to get every one of these.
It could be the VAR, right? We have the Stanley Park VAR assistant.
He's the VAR, okay. Every player here, every player that I'm going to give you has on somewhere in their name. Okay, this is right up your straws of this one, and I'll tell you, he loves a game like this. Okay, so played for us between 97 and 2001.
Leonardson.
No, you're out. After joining from Cagliari. Played for us between 97 and 01. No.
Corsten.
No.
Oh, I think I know.
It could be a first name, could be a second name, might not be the surname. Played between 97 and 01. I joined from Cagliari.
It's not Leon Poe, is it?
Ramon Vega.
Oh, well done, Jamie. Ramon Vega.
I'm just embarrassing because
Ramon.
He weren't even born.
He has been researching these answers.
Well done. All right, number 2. Are you ready? Played for us 2000 to 2005 before joining Everton and then Fulham.
Sorry, Rich, can I have the question again? What was that question? Sorry.
Played for us between 2000 and 2005.
Yeah, Simon Davis.
Simon Davis. Well done, Jamie, again.
Hold on. I said it as well.
Oh, we've got a VAR review, Jace.
There's a delay. There's a delay.
We've got a VAR there.
There's a delay.
We're going to go to VAR. Jace, you're going to come in as VAR there?
On Davis.
We're going to go to VAR. I'm giving it to Costa because he's taking me to Bangkok and I can't stand Jamie with his bloody transfer gossip.
Oh, Jamie. It's like Lampard for England. Oh, it was a mile over the line. Honestly.
That's a Pedro Mendes, isn't it? I'm the boy Carol of his Pedro.
Someone get the sticks out.
That's Vertonghen offside in his own half, that one. That's an awful decision. That's a stinker.
Costa out.
Costa out. All right, number 3, settle down, class. Right back who was on loan at Gretna before joining us in 2004. A right back who was on loan at Gretna before joining us in 2004.
No, Pamaro?
No.
How did he play for Gretna?
What part of on is Noé Pamaro?
No, it's no on backwards, isn't it? No, it's not the backwards game.
It's on backwards.
On backwards.
Alan Hutton.
No,
you cheeky fucker! Did you look at the comments?
Just look at the comments.
Yeah, we need to the comment because I'm seeing the comments now.
Right,
I was going to say.
Right, hold on. Is that why you got Ray? Is that why you got Vega?
No, I promise you, I got no. Right,
yeah, all right, Jay.
I'm getting serious now. I didn't promise you. Vega. I promise you, I didn't say that.
It was on loan at Gretna.
Was it 2000 to 2004?
Oh, we don't get it.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, Cole Norton. Someone said it, didn't they? Or if
he didn't come in 2004, Rich.
No, sorry, it's my writing. It was 2009.
That's what I thought.
Anyway, carry on.
You're so shit.
It's a shit quiz.
Question 4. I'll move on from 3. Frank's really suitably unimpressed by this, isn't he? He's just laid on you. He's having absolutely
the
none
answers
of it.
at one point there. I thought fuck
none
this,
of it.
I'm not looking.
All right, okay. This is a serious quiz. All right, are you ready, Ant? Are you ready, James?
I'm ready.
Was with us from 2015 to 2017. Plays for Cameroon and now at Dynamo Moscow.
Clinton and G.
Yeah, Clinton.
Well done, Jamie. Again,
Jamie got that.
Who's keeping score? Who's keeping score here? Anyone keeping score?
Yeah, I am. Jamie's smashing it. He's knocked it out of the park.
Mate, he's got Wikipedia right in front of him.
No, it's just all up here. I've got Clinton and G. I mean, it's like classic. I mean,
yeah, of course.
I'm just enjoying Frank's and Ndombele attitude to this. I'm just like, he's having an Ndombele to this. I'm having none of this. You carry on. Right, number 5. Last one, I promise. Okay. One season wonder in 2012 before going to QPR.
Wayne Routledge.
No. Wayne Routledge. Where's he on in that, Rick?
Where's he on in that?
Rick, you're like my mate's dad that used to watch Blockbusters, and Bob Holness used to go, "What P is a?" And he'd go, "Banana."
I've seen the answer now.
One season wonder. 2012 went to QPR.
Ryan Nelson.
Ryan Nelson. Yes, well done. There you go. That's the shit quiz done. The game is on. Well done. Welcome back, Frank. You've come back on loan.
That is so true.
Lee was so involved as well. Thanks, Lee. Rick,
I wasn't even vacant. I'll be honest with you. I might as well have been on.
And you've only just realised that now, Rick.
Thank you, Jamie, for digging me out there and taking part.
I love you, mate.
Entering into the spirit of things. Well done.
Oh, is that how you spell Nelson? No, it's not. It's not.
No, I just did that. Nelson. Am I going cross-eyed if that's the way you're spelling it?
No, it's not. It's S-O-M.
Conscious of the time, the transfer window is 3 minutes away from closing. Let's quickly have the Dele debate now because it's still expected to be announced in the next few minutes, we would assume. Boys, listen. Again, Costa's going to kill me here because I'm going to be quite sentimental. I said it earlier on the group, and the reaction from you boys was a little bit. I don't know. There's some obviously that feel it's the right time. I don't doubt it's the right time for Dele Alli.
100% the right time to go for him. Bless him.
It is the right time, but I am gutted. I am seriously gutted that where has this player's career gone? Where has it gone? How has it gone the way it's gone? I mean, Frank, we'll start with you. Dele Alli, can you understand what's happened to that bloke's career and how he's ended up where he's at now? Everton.
I don't know. He's definitely lost his way. We've all agreed that this is the best outcome for everybody. It really is. He needs to go and play football. I think playing with Frank Lampard, a player who certainly knows all about those late runs into the box and goal scoring from midfield, it's a great fit. But like the rest of the fan base, we're all gutted. We had a player 3 years ago who's worth £100 million. the wonder kid of European football, not just English football. As Jason said earlier, back-to-back PFA Young Player of the Year. How many players achieve that at such a young age? And I don't know if it was a case of too much too young. I don't know. I don't know. It's the $1 million question. What has happened to Dele Alli? I suppose we'll see at Everton if there's still fire in the belly there and he wants to prove everybody wrong. But it's been sad as a fan to watch the decline from somebody who was so high and his stock has plummeted. And we basically had to give him away. Again, if you told me that 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, you would be giving Dele Alli away.
I could never believe it.
You, but it's what's happened, and it's unfortunate. But again, Rick, we all know it is the best deal and move for all parties involved. It's incentivised there as well, with regards to the club. And again, this to me says that Conte really wanted him gone, because Daniel Levy, that is out of character for him to give
massively
somebody away who he was so reluctant to let leave for the past couple of seasons, or whenever he was sort of rumoured to go. So he, Conte's got what he wanted.
Yeah, I'm just conscious of time. I know we've all got time commitments. And are you okay? Do you want to go now on Dele, and then it's up to you, mate?
Yeah. I mean, I just wish Dele the best of luck. I think it's best time for him to move on for the best of his health, and good luck to him at Everton. And it was time for him to go. He gave us some fantastic memories. I've been sort of scrolling through Twitter over the past sort of hour and a half or so while I've been doing the show. And for me, the Chelsea at home game, Eriksen,
just
set him up twice. Headed. Fantastic memories against the Arsenal as well. So listen, good luck, Dele, and I wish you all the best. And let's get back for you. Loving the football again.
I can't believe that I'm sitting. I know after what I've said tonight about Conte, you probably will believe this, because I do sound proper sentimental. So sorry about that. I still can't believe with Dele this is actually happening. It doesn't. Does anyone else feel real? Is it just me? Does it feel real?
It's been a long time since he performed, and unfortunately, I think he's not really. He left years ago, basically. In reality,
you're right. The embodiment was still there, but the actual player had gone.
For me, I think it's all been a lot to do with confidence. I think he obviously picked up that bad hamstring injury. I think me and Jason discussed it off air on one of the BBC shows that we did. It was an injury against Fulham. I think it was maybe early January of 2019. Picked up a nasty hamstring injury, and I think he always struggled to get back into the team ever since. And it's just those confidence. Dele Alli was such a confidence player at the time. He was, he'd always know when to make the right runs into the box. He would do kind of those flicks and the tricks that he does, and it was all confidence, and it was all kind of doing stuff without thinking about it. And that's something that he really seems to have lost, that confidence completely. And he just hasn't been able to do the stuff that we know Dele's best at doing. So I think under Frank Lampard, I think that we've seen what he can do with players like Mason Mount, Tomori, and Abraham, and they've all obviously gone on to become decent players as well. So I do think that there's still a good chance. I think it's a really good move for Dele to go and work under Frank Lampard, and just hopefully he's put into a system that really fits him into the team as well, because obviously we know he's best when he's in that number 10 position, the false 9 position, and hopefully Lampard will give him that opportunity to play in that role. So I think it's a great move for him.
Let's go with Rich next. Rich, Dele Alli. Listen, again, a lot of you boys, I can see you're kind of over this now with Dele. But Rich, do you understand how that fall has happened in the past 2-3 years, and the magnitude of it from where he was? This guy, I've got to be honest with you, he had a figure on his head at one point of 70, 80 million. Listen, boys, I don't think I'm being wrong there. I think it was that genuinely good. When you think about that performance in the Lisan Haya, that performance in the Champions League against Real Madrid that night, I think all of us were probably there that night. He was phenomenal. He got the goals, but he was, he had that amazing ability to always arrive in the box at the right time. And maybe, like I say, with someone like Frank Lampard, working alongside him, he can get him back to that, which is why I can understand the logic of that move. But Rich, I'm gutted that we haven't ever got him back to the player he was, because he was so special for us.
Well, he's a player that come to us from MK Dons, and we were battling with Liverpool to get. They were desperate for him, and we got him. And, Liverpool has got him back, but he's gone to Everton and not Liverpool. So that just tells you where his career's gone. But Liverpool wanted him. Now Everton have got him. And, maybe he's a lad that actually started to listen to people that was telling him his value's 80, 100 million pounds. And I don't know, perhaps he just couldn't deal with that. As I understand, I think he has a bit of a difficult family situation and not much of a family around him to give him a little bit of guidance and, keep his feet on the ground. A very sort of different family to Kane's. That's very tight knit and, just keeps that sort of family thing around him. And, it's football at this level now it's a harsh, horrible game, Rick. There's no room for sentiment at all if you want to go on to do things. If he's not cutting it, then he has to go, whoever he is, no matter how many great memories he's given us. And by the way, he has given us some great memories, hasn't he? That Chelsea game, that Real Madrid game.
I know it's a cup that we didn't go on to win, but the goal against Arsenal in the cup, the League Cup,
exactly. The goal against Palace and everything. Yeah. It was just fantastic. So, in a similar vein to Ndombele, I hope that he finds his love again, and I hope that he finds that Dele again. And picks up not against us. Obviously, I hope he's.
I know what Ant's like.
Atrocious. Yeah, Ant's got him down
on the phone. As soon as that game gets a preview, we got to play Everton, haven't we? We got to play Everton again this season.
Yeah. But career-wise, going on from now, I'd love to see him get his flavour and his mojo back, get back into the England squad because, he's got it in his locker to be the type of player that can win you something. He's absolutely outrageous, some of the things he can do. He's just got to refine it. And I hope he does, because I hope in years to come, he's not sat on the Sky Sports panel previewing a game, and he's talking about how he misses the game and everything. Go and grab every minute of every game if you're a young footballer. You've got to. You really have to. I just hear it too many times, Rick, on Legends Nights, how these players miss it and would just do anything to turn the clock back and do it again. So, I can only speak from that perspective, how every one of them, the twinkle in their eye when you speak to them about these games, and they would sell their souls to go out one more time, age 25, 26 in a big game, go and live every minute of it. So good luck to him. I hope he finds it.
Yeah, let's come around to Jace. Jace, Dele Alli. Again, sorry for being sentimental. It feels weird to talk about him in the past tense, but yeah, he's going in the matter of minutes now. We expect this to come through. From what we understand, again, Jay, you might be better presented than me to say this. I think the deal sheet's gone in, right? So there's no doubt that this deal will get done, from what we understand. It will go through. We're just waiting now for confirmation from either one of the clubs. Thoughts on it, Jace? It's give me some thoughts on Dele Alli.
I think Lee and I were probably the longest defenders of him. But I think even Lee and I would accept that it was time to go. I think the other players that have left today have left no real mark on the football club. Dele Alli's left a huge mark on the football club. He wasn't just a bit part player. He was a massive part of the best Tottenham side in the past, 20, 30 years or whatever. It's worth remembering that he is the youngest player in the history of the football club to reach 50 goals. No other player has done that as young for Tottenham as Dele Alli did when he hit that 50th goal. So, when you think of how many players have played for our football club, that's quite an astonishing thing to have on his CV. But time was up. Like Cracker said, I hope Dele Alli's in that England squad in maybe the next World Cup will be too early. I'd love to see Dele Alli in that Euro squad 2 years down the line. I hope he becomes the player that we saw at Tottenham. It'll be sad to see him do it for somebody else, but there'll always be a bit of me that has a huge amount of respect for every single minute that Dele Alli gave to us for those first 3 or 4 years, and I wish him all the best, mate. No animosity towards Dele Alli whatsoever.
Yeah, Lee. Final thoughts on Dele? Feels weird actually saying that. He won't be coming up much on our podcast anymore.
No,
so probably cost us a relief.
No, for sure. And I've just actually seen a tweet. I give it to their handle, but it's got loads of swear words in it, so I won't read it out. But actually, one of the key things is, and one of the sad things is, that we ain't going to sing a song anymore, are we? And one of the songs where, you know, I think I've been quite vocal on there. I love singing. I love the singing to, you know, in the South Stand when I'm up in block 252 and singing the songs, and that was one of the songs that we all sung. I never forget when we first went into that stadium in the long bar, underneath the South Stand, and it was absolutely rocking to that tune of Dele Alli, and that's going to move on. Like, I echo everything. You know, I think his record is absolutely outstanding. I think he's probably now gone to play for probably the best manager that you could go and play for outside of Pochettino in terms of Frank Lampard. He's been it, he's done it. He's a record goal scorer from midfield for Chelsea Football Club, and to go now to Everton, to, you know, I mean, they love him up there. If he produces 80-90% of what he done for us in his prime, Evertonians will absolutely love him up there. So, you know, good luck to him, fair play to him. It was definitely the right time to move on, and I think just on the, I suppose, on a positive from a Tottenham perspective, the ruthlessness that we a lot of fans have been talking about, a lot of our viewers and listeners talking about, we're finally getting there with Paratici and Conte there, like taking people, saying, look, sorry lads, you ain't gonna cut it here, trot on, and that's what they're doing. So I applaud that, and I applaud Dele Alli. And he's only 25. It's crazy, really, to think.
He's still got the rest of his career ahead of him. If he can find that
career, he's got a
unlock
huge
it again.
If he wants it,
if he wants to unlock it. Well, there you go, Dele.
Earlier, you know, if you peak too early, and anything you do, everybody watching and listening, anything you do, you peak too early, you've peaked. That's the whole point of the word, right? You're at the top. So there's only one way. You're going down. So he has to find a way to go past scoring a brace against Real Madrid at Wembley and scoring a brace at Stamford Bridge. Again, people forget we haven't won. Everyone was moaning 2 weeks ago that we can't beat Chelsea and how far have we fallen. And the last time we beat Chelsea in the league, Dele Alli got 2.
It's true. Right, well, there you go. That's the Dele chat. Again, that deal will get done. It's just a matter of if not when. Like I say, we wish Dele all the best, and we'll be facing Dele. Of course, Everton have to come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, don't they? So we'll be seeing Dele. Out of interest, anyone conscious? What kind of reaction will he get, boys? Get a good reaction when he at the stadium?
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, good luck to him.
I mean, Dele was someone that everyone loved, and they're all still singing his name this season.
Well, I think even Morecambe, they were still singing his name. We're still singing them against Morecambe.
Being sung as recently as a couple of weeks ago. So
Liverpool game definitely was being sung.
I feel for him that was his last game, wasn't it? Morecambe was Morecambe his last game? I was there. That was his last game for the club, wasn't it? I don't think he'd come off the bench otherwise before that. It's a shame because again, you just as a last performance. Morecambe, it's a shame. But listen, we wish Dele all the best. And again, we'll be seeing what goes on with him. Right, we're going to close it on this question, boys, for everybody. Okay, window closed. What can we achieve? Very, very quickly. Let's start with Ant. And what can Spurs do this season? Still in the FA Cup, still in the race for the top 4, games in hand. What can we do?
Yeah, I think we can definitely challenge for top 4. So that's where our head should be, for sure. I know I always talk about trophies, but as I said when we started before, we're going to get Chelsea if we beat Brighton, and I can't be asked going back to Stamford Bridge and getting beaten there again. Do you know what I mean? So let's just concentrate on top 4, lads, and long may it continue. Come on, you Spurs.
Absolutely. Frankie, let's come to you next. What's the ambition for this season? And do you feel that we've already got one step towards being positive in the summer by the business we've done this window? So a 2-part question there for you, Frank, if you don't mind.
Well, I hope so. I think we are a possibility for top 4. We're right up there. We're out the teams chasing the top 3. We're in the best position of the pack. I know Manchester United have got the depth. They've got quite a few players, but they haven't looked up to much. I know they've had a few decent results recently, but I saw them outplayed by Norwich not too long ago under Rangnick. So I'm pretty confident we could get that top 4 position. Top 4 and the FA Cup, I don't think we'll do both. Just being totally honest.
Yep.
And I hope that we have laid the foundations for a fruitful summer. And Conte gets obviously what he wants. We see some of the players that he doesn't want go out on permanent deals, and we see some quality signings. In the summer, there's no excuses for for not having a marquee signing. Even, you know, I'm not saying you always have to spend money to get the right players, but I want to see a marquee signing this summer, Rick. I want to see a big name player, proven, you know, Prem proven, somebody that all the fans will unanimously say that is a great signing. We're happy with that. I think that's what this club needs this summer, and that marquee signing really, if possible, to be from the Premier League. That's what I'm hoping for, anyway.
No, I appreciate it, Frank. I know we've got you back on, Frank. I think Southampton away. I think you're back on for that. So it'll be interesting to see what Spurs line up for them, because I say it will be a bit of a new look. Spurs. We have a couple of players in the team. Hopefully Romero's back, Son's back. So yeah, fingers crossed. Let's go to Jay next. Jay, I know it's been a very that's Jamie, and we'll go Jason. It wouldn't make sense. What I was about to say to
Can
Jason.
I, boys? Can I chip off, mate? I've got an early start in the morning.
You may.
Love you,
thank
boys,
so
to bits,
much.
mate.
We'll speak
Love
to
you,
you
boys,
soon.
to bits. Take care, lads.
Cheers, mate. Thank you
See
so
ya,
much,
boys.
Shan. Cheers, mate. Let's come around to you, Jay. It's been a busy month for you, mate. So obviously, well done keeping us all updated, of course, on the transfer market. Look at Jason's face. Very quickly, Jay, what's the ambition for this rest of the season?
Look, I think I said it on the earlier show. I think our current situation looks worse than what it was, because when we went to Chelsea, we were missing a number of key players, and we have been missing a number of key players for the last couple of games. No Son, no Romero. That's huge for us. I mean, our win percentage without Son is significantly worse than when we have him. So he's such a key player for Spurs. Having him back in the team will be huge, and that'll be a massive boost for us. Having Romero back, obviously we were missing players against Chelsea where we would like to have started more Skip. So the Chelsea game was probably made our situation look a lot worse than it actually is. And then, of course, you've got the two new guys coming into the team. You've got the deadwood out. You've got a lot of good deadwood out of the team as well. So, I'm quite excited for the rest of the season. We've seen what Conte is already managed to do in such a short space of time. He's been here 3-4 months, and he's got, we're really seeing what we want to do. I mean, that was the thing I've said after a couple of these maybe results which didn't quite go well. I think against Leicester, I saw a good performance. I saw what we were trying to do, and it looks like we were going to lose that game. I was saying, but I can see where we're going. I can see what we're trying to build, and you've seen that a lot now. And that's the most important thing for me this season, is to see kind of us starting to play a particular way of football that Conte wants. That's the most important thing for me. But I do think we've got a good chance of the top four. I really do. I think that no European football is going to have an advantage over West Ham and Manchester United. That's going to be big. So top four is going to be massive for us, because if we can get into the Champions League next season, I'm going to start talking about transfers again already ahead of the summer. But I mean, if we can get top four, I think we can get some serious players in, and if you add that to what Conte's already got, I think that next season should be pretty exciting. If we can get Champions League football. We've got that attraction, we've got that extra money, so top four is massive.
There you go. And AI says there, plenty more tweets from Jason. Guaranteed the summer. Yeah. Buckle up, Jason. Right, let's go.
Turn the bell on for my notifications, Jason.
I think we'll do something. I think we'll do something with that bell. You might not know what we're going to do with that bell. Let's go to Jace. Jace. Everyone says if you say top four, then it's real. What can be achieved this season? Still in the FA Cup, still in a really good position for top four. What can be achieved in your opinion?
I think we're in a better position to get the top four now than we were on January the 1st. Like I said, if you look at our points per game, then there's only 3 teams with a better points per game than Tottenham. You'll have a Harry Kane that I think is fully now on board. You'll have Romero. And I look at those other squads and I think I genuinely believe our transfer window has been better than those clubs around us. Manchester United have lost Martial. They've lost, for other reasons, Greenwood. They've lost Donny van der Beek. West Ham, people will talk about we're so reliant on Kane. How reliant are West Ham on Mikel Antonio? How reliant are Wolves on say, Raul Jimenez? Arsenal, where's their great striker? So, let's have a look at the real strengths and weaknesses of those around us. And we've still got a better points per game than those clubs. And we've slightly improved. So I think there's a great chance. The opportunity is there for us more than anyone to grab fourth. And I think it's a great... I think Manchester United, whilst their squad is good, there's so many other problems at Man United with the manager, with trying to fit Ronaldo in. You've now got Sancho as a bit part player. players that they've lost in this window. Pogba comes back, but he's out of contract in the summer. So is he going to bust a gut as the season goes on and a move to Madrid comes closer for him? So I genuinely believe, like I say, I think there's a better chance of getting fourth tonight than there was for us on January the 1st.
Well, there you go. Jason's a happy man. Lee, and we've got Crackers as well. We haven't gone Crackers yet, have we? We need to have Crackers as well. Let's go Rich first, then we'll go to Lee. Rich, what can be achieved for you this season? Still in that top four, still in that top four, FA Cup as well. Yeah. What can we do, Rich?
Well, I think we are going to need a little bit of luck in one or two positions. We have got 2 for each position at the moment, but a couple of those positions really do need that first choice there, especially up front, you know, where Jace was saying West Ham up front, you know, we're the same. We are exactly the same with Kane, but we need to keep him fit. So there's a little bit of fingers crossed element to this. But if we do, then there's no reason why we can't go and grab that spot, that best of the rest, which Jason spoke about a few shows ago, because we are desperately trying to catch those 3 that are miles in front of everybody at the moment. But, you know, heading the right way with it. I think the club and everybody around the club, chairman down to everybody or up to everybody, needs to step up to Conte's standards. He set the bar. Everybody, fans, players, everybody needs to buy into what he's trying to do. And if we do that, then we've got every chance, to be honest, every chance of going to grab that 4th spot. So let's see where it takes us. You know, it just like players that have gone out the door today, feels like that's been a problem addressed. Yeah, but the other thing, Rick, is if you add an NT to Conte, you get content. So, and I'm just hoping the players put in as much effort as you do with your content, because I have to say the last few days has just been absolutely phenomenal what you've put in. So, you know, if I see a midfield working as hard as you've been, we've got every chance, haven't we? The Conte content. Yeah, I mean, you know, you did do a little bit of a Teddy Sheringham there. Went off to Man U when you went to Brentford and then came back again.
I did. I'm not gonna lie, boys. I'm so knackered. I know we've got another show lined up Wednesday, a big show, but honestly, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. You'll wait and see. We've got a really big show coming Wednesday. We've got a really big show coming. I think you'll like it when you see it. Really, really big show.
You'll love it, mate. You'll love it.
It's a really good show coming Wednesday. I'll be honest, I am absolutely, I was knackered. You know, it's one of those weeks where the baby's been up, bless him, all night as well. So it's just been compounded. But no, listen, I've got to say, listen, I love when we do it. It's getting all you guys together. And when I say we have the fun we have, it's fantastic. But I'm not going to lie. If we made no signs or whatever today, I'm just really relieved it's over. I can only get some sleep. Honestly, I'm knackered. But no, love it. Thank you so much, Rich. I appreciate that. Listen, you boys, again, I have to say, the boys here, that you see the guys on the screen here, the amount of hours they put in to coming onto Last Word on Spurs, they give up their own personal time. I'll always be forever grateful for that. And I say that's why they're great at what they do. They speak so well. That's why they're loved again by so many of our viewers, and they're pouring in now again. So I must say tonight, you know, we've had 14, 1,500, 1,600 people watching us live. You know, that steady amount through the last 2.5
We still ain't got 1,000 likes. We still have
Honestly.
not got 1,000 likes. That is proper Spursy. Get it over the 1,000. That's all we needed. 1,000 likes. Get it over the 1,000. And look, I put my 2 pennies worth in before you sum up, Rick.
Anything less than 1,000 and Ndombele comes back. All right.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Start pressing the like button. Look, I've got the blue book out. I'm having a look at people that teams that are in around us. I echo everything what the lads have said, and a lot of the comments that we're seeing on screen as well, and for the listeners as well. We got 4 games in hand on Chelsea. 4. There you go. Like button. Go on, Jason. 4.
Jason, that's going to sound really dodgy for people listening.
I was going to say that sounds dodgy.
For those on audio, don't listen to that. Skip that part.
I'm glad we could see what you was doing there, Jace, because otherwise that's all shades of wrong.
That's that Pornhub one I've just been liking by mistake.
I think we got it. 1,000 well done, everybody. Again, the support is fantastic. The interaction is just superb on his show. I just wanted to quickly say before you wrap up, Rick. Manchester United, West Ham United, Arsenal, Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, you can't really count Wolves out of that as well. I mean, they're doing really, really well at the moment. And even Brighton, they've lost only 4 games, Brighton, but they do a lot of draws. We've got 4 games in hand on Chelsea. And I know it's a big if, a massive if. But if we win them 4 games, we actually go above Chelsea. We're 1 point behind West Ham United, who are having a season of their lives. And we've got 3 games in hand on West Ham United. I mean, you could not make this stuff up. We've got a game in hand on Arsenal, of which we have to play them as well, because that is actually another game in hand that we've got. That essentially we'll leapfrog them in that 6-pointer. And look, and we've got 2 games in hand on Manchester United, who are only 2 points above us. I'm convinced with this manager that we've got at our football club, I'm absolutely convinced that we're going to get top 4. I'm absolutely convinced about it. And I'm not embarrassed. I'm not worried about it. I'm not jinxing it. I'm not embarrassed about saying it. I want us to come out and be proud and say, we're going to go after top 4. What is wrong with saying that? What is wrong with saying it? So I think we are going to get top 4, lads, listeners and viewers. And I think that we've got some tough games in the Premier League. But like you've all said before, there's no European football that we haven't got. Unfortunately, we're at the League Cup as well. We've got an FA Cup run to really get some momentum going. We've lost 1 game in 9 Premier League games. We've lost 1. Now, West Ham have lost their last 2. Manchester United have lost and drawn 2 out of the last 5. Chelsea have only won 1 in the last 5. Granted, it was against us, couldn't make it up. Now, we've got a good record as anyone in the Premier League in the last 6-7 games as Man City. And like Jay said, the points per game ratio, we are on the train. It is crazy, but we are on the train to Champions League football. Don't let anyone else tell you anything different. We are on the train to Champions League football. Come on, you Spurs.
Well, on that note, we are going to wrap up. We'll go from left to right. So from Lee, from Jason, from Jamie, from Rich, from Frank. Guys, we've been the last one on Spurs. From Ant, of course, as well. Ant, bless him. And John and Chris. I know I say Chris is running parallel, so wishing Chris all the very best. We are back unbelievably on Wednesday, so it's the one night of rest. But for these boys, thank you so much for giving up all your time again, lads. Again, nearly 3 hours worth. Thank you so much, as always. Jason looks as puzzled as I am while we're doing this, but you'll find out on Wednesday. As we sparkled. Frankie, Crackers, Jamie, Lee, Jace, thank you so much for all your time. For all the listeners, for all your super chats, for all your comments, for all your love and likes. Thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Guys, we'll see you on Wednesday. Keep safe, keep well. Transfer window's over. 174 days to go, Jason McGovern. As always, come on, you Spurs.